Chapter 599. Rumble above Lu Boming's head, the true yuan vibrated and immediately condensed into a huge picture scroll. The blue true yuan turned into a stream of water, sketching lines on the picture scroll. The scroll showed huge mountains and rivers, crisscrossing each other and giving off a majestic aura. Every river on it was incomparably huge, equivalent to a peak martial master expert. It was enough to suppress countless monsters, and its quintessential essence was extremely dense. Even an expert who had just entered the Grandmaster realm might not be able to compare to Lu Boming's quintessential essence. This was the terror of the high-grade King Qigong, the Netherworld Narcissus immortal painting. This cultivation method was infinitely close to the peerless King Qigong, and the power it could unleash was not something ordinary people could imagine. So powerful! Is this one of the legendary supreme water cultivation methods, the Netherworld Narcissus immortal painting? Many people watching the live broadcast exclaimed. This was the first time they had seen someone successfully cultivate this cultivation method. In fact, there were many martial artists who had cultivated this cultivation method before, but most of them had failed. This cultivation method is extremely difficult to cultivate. I don't know how many geniuses want to cultivate it, but they all fail. In this picture scroll, each river is a meridian, and the surging water is true yuan. If you want to cultivate this qigong, you have to transform your own meridian, using your body as a painting, to condense the mountains, rivers, and rivers. If you want to completely cultivate this cultivation method, you need an extremely high talent, as well as an extremely strong mental power. Many people had heard of the power of the Netherworld Narcissus immortal painting, but not many people had thought about cultivating it. Now that one had appeared, it was an eye-opener for them. This kid seems to be an elite student of Yanhuang University, and he seems to be Xia Ping's senior. But why does it look like the two have a bad relationship? Their words are full of sarcasm. Some people were confused. As people from the same university, even if they were not familiar with each other, there was no reason for them to be so hostile. But looking at the two of them, it seemed like they were about to fight. It's not strange at all. Xia Ping is hated by everyone in Yanhuang University. Who knows how many people want to beat him up? It's news that someone has a good relationship with him. Someone immediately revealed the inside story of the conflict between Xia Ping and Lu Boming. At the same time, he also vividly described what Xia Ping had done in Yanhuang University. He had angered the public, and his reputation in Yanhuang University was worse than dog shit. Oh my god, he's already arrogant and despotic at the beginning. Is he looking down on the other students? More than 100 ordinary students from the school's clubs were beaten up by him, and he almost killed them all. It's too cruel. After becoming an elite student, he became even worse. He even resorted to crafty schemes and swindled a large group of elite students of their money. He is simply infuriating. Moreover, he's a scumbag. Who knows how many goddesses in school have been defiled, humiliated, and toiled for by him day and night. Yet, no one dared to call the police. They all succumbed to his threats. Tyrant, this is simply an ancient tyrant. Can't anyone control him? This was the first time many of the audience had heard about Xia Ping. Originally, they thought that this kid only looked down on people outside of Yanhuang University. They didn't expect that he wouldn't even let go of people from his own university. He was even more miserable. As the saying goes, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its nest. This kid eats everything and nothing is taboo. He is a glutton. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Lu Boming's aura had already reached its peak. The entire combat space was shaking. He blasted a punch at Xia Ping. Profound meaning, wild dance of 10,000 snakes. This move of profound meaning almost used up all of Lu Boming's strength. The entire Netherworld Narcissus painting in the sky emitted a huge light. Strands of blue light came one after another, as if they were solidifying. As Lu Boming blasted out his fist, the huge painting seemed to come to life. Rivers burst out and condensed into huge water snakes. They were densely covered in scales. A wave of netherworld chi spread out in all directions. Even the ground was frozen by this wave of netherworld chi, turning into ice. Whoosh! The water snakes roared and let out a huge roar. Their aura was terrifying to the extreme. It was as if thousands of demons had come out at the same time, wanting to tear Xiaoping into pieces. This was a peerless attack that could dim the sun and moon. However, at this moment, Xiaoping also made his move. He took a step forward. His left hand was a tiger, while his right hand was a dragon. Both his arms seemed to have dragon and tiger tattoos at this moment. This kind of aura was shocking, and it vaguely produced the image of a dragon and tiger. An azure dragon roamed the heavens and earth, moving clouds and bringing rain. A ferocious tiger roared in the forest, and all beasts submitted to it. At this moment, the image of a dragon and tiger accompanied each other and merged into one. It was as if the power of heaven and earth had condensed into one, and the power of wind and cloud had merged. The ninth move of the myriad beast's fist, Dragon-Tiger Seal. After advancing to the seventh tier of the martial master realm, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. His understanding of the myriad beast's fist had also deepened, and the power he displayed was many times stronger than before. His every move seemed to contain the power of thousands of beasts. It was as if he had been possessed by a dragon and tiger. The dragon came from the wind, and the tiger came from the clouds. Rumble! At the moment when the power of the azure dragon and the power of the tiger merged into one, a golden dragon and tiger seal appeared in the void. This seal shone with golden light like a sun. It was sacred, vast, and mysterious. It contained an unparalleled pressure, as if it represented the imperial power. It contained a hint of the emperor wanting his subjects to die, and the subjects had no choice but to die. The people watching the live broadcast could feel this unparalleled pressure even through the screen. Some of the weaker martial artists even prostrated and worshipped it. Dong! Immediately, the golden seal smashed down from the sky like a meteorite, carrying an endless destructive power. The gigantic water snakes were immediately torn apart by this force into dozens of pieces. When the force penetrated the bodies of tens of thousands of water snakes, golden light shone in all directions, penetrating them completely. Lu Boming let out a miserable cry. His face was twisted as his body was struck by a tremendous force. His skin cracked open, and a large amount of blood flowed out, turning him into a bloody man. His neck, face, torso, arms, legs, and other parts of his body were covered in bloody wounds. His clothes were instantly torn to shreds, leaving behind only a pair of underpants. Half of his hair was shaved off, leaving him bald in the middle. His handsome face was now swollen like a pig's head, and it was hard to tell his original appearance. At this moment, his internal organs were severely injured. He fell to the ground, unable to move, and let out a painful cry. Xia Ping stepped forward and looked down at Lu Boming. Lu Boming, I respect you as my senior. This punch is just a lesson for you, not to kill you. In the future, when you see me again, you better tuck your tail between your legs and focus on your cultivation. Don't have any evil thoughts. Chapter 600. You. Hearing Xia Ping's condescending words, as if he was a senior guiding a junior, Lu Boming was furious. His face flushed red, and he wanted to bite this bastard to death. What was his status? What right did this kid have to guide him like his father? It was as if he was teaching him some life lessons. He even told him to tuck his tail between his legs and focus on cultivation. Don't think too much. Think my ass. He, Lu Boming, was the pride of the heavens, the descendant of a king. He was born noble and superior. Who could restrict him? Who could make him tuck his tail between his legs? The surrounding audience was speechless. This kid was shameless to the extreme. He said that he didn't take Lu Boming's life because he was giving face to his senior. That was bullshit. In the Sun Moon City's duel, the system was omnipresent. Once there was a life-threatening danger, they would immediately be transferred out. There was no need to worry about their lives. But in this bastard's mouth, it was because he was giving face to Lu Boming. He even told him to be grateful in the future. Why was this bastard so thick-skinned? Even a laser cannon probably couldn't penetrate it. What? Senior Lu, are you still not convinced? Do you want to fight again? This time, I'll give you a handicap. If you can touch a single hair on me, it's your win. Xia Ping glanced at him. Bastard! The crowd gritted their teeth. Lu Boming had been crippled by you. His limbs were broken, and he no longer had any strength to fight. Even moving a finger required a lot of strength. In such a situation, how could Lu Boming fight? Even if you stood in front of him, Lu Boming probably wouldn't be able to touch you. But now he said he would give him a handicap. It was obvious that he saw through Lu Boming's predicament and that he no longer had any strength to fight. That was why he said such words to humiliate Lu Boming. If he really had the ability, he should have said such words at the start of the duel. You! Lu Boming was infuriated. With a puff, he opened his mouth and vomited. He was so angry that he suffered internal injuries. A mouthful of blood spurted out and splattered on the ground, dyeing the ground in a 1-meter radius red. This kind of blood sprayed out was half a kilogram. Hong! The system immediately detected that Lu Boming was in danger. A ball of energy wrapped around him and instantly teleported him to Sun Moon City's hospital for emergency treatment. Xia Ping wins. The system's voice sounded, announcing Xia Ping's victory. Damn it, this bastard won again. Is there no one who can stop this bully's advance? Someone will definitely succeed. The strength of those geniuses is not to be underestimated. They are not people that this tyrant can defeat. Many of the spectators were unconvinced and gritted their teeth. If such a bully won the championship, it would be a joke for the genius battle. They cursed fiercely, hoping that someone would step out to stop Xia Ping and eliminate him so that he wouldn't continue to be an eyesore here and cause trouble. Unfortunately, their hopes were dashed again and again. Half an hour later, the third round of the knockout round began. Bang! It was Miao Renjia, an expert of the Saber Dao from the Black and White Academy. His cultivation was at the 8th level of the martial master realm, and his saber techniques were close to perfection. It was said that he had once joined the army and fought with many demon soldiers. The number of demon corpses he had killed was enough to build a small mountain. His battle experience was extremely rich. However, this Miao Renjia was not Xia Ping's opponent. He was crippled by one punch, and even the knife in his hand was smashed into a pile of scrap iron. His internal organs were severely injured, and he spat out a large amount of blood. He was directly eliminated. Dang! The fourth opponent was Tianjin University's spear expert, Chen Yufeng. His spear was like lightning, and the attack power of each spear was extremely terrifying. The spear's shadows overlapped, and it was like a dense spring. His martial cultivation had even reached the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. However, this kind of spear technique was not powerful enough and could not break through Xia Ping's defense at all. After trying for a long time, he was finally kicked in the vital spot by Xia Ping. His balls exploded, and he was directly eliminated. Even if he was cured, his heart would probably be severely injured. Hong! The fifth opponent was a king-level disciple, Dong Mucha. He was extremely arrogant. As a king-level disciple, many people would bow to him, flatter him, and be domineering. They had just met, and this guy wanted Xia Ping to surrender, or else he would break all the bones in his body and threaten him. The result could be imagined. Xia Ping broke his teeth with one punch, and he was even grabbed by Xia Ping and beaten up. His face swelled up like a pig's head, and his fists hit his flesh. After a few minutes, he was already lying on the ground, dying. In the end, the system judged that Dong Mucha's life was in danger, and he was eliminated and sent out. Otherwise, his life would definitely be in danger. After fighting a few matches, a day and a night had passed. At this time, Xia Ping had already entered the top 100. Those who could enter the top 100 were basically experts at the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. There were also some monsters at the 8th heaven of the martial master realm, but only Xia Ping was at the 7th heaven of the martial master realm. Xia Ping's name also began to spread throughout the whole Sun Moon City, and many people knew about him. It can't be, right? This kid is really unstoppable and smoothly entered the top 100. Some people who had enmity with Xiaoping were very unwilling. They had always hoped that Xiaoping would be defeated, but it never happened. It can't be helped. Although I don't want to, I have to admit that Xiaoping is too strong. That's right. That mysterious defensive energy art alone is enough to make him invincible. This kind of defense is probably comparable to Lu Chao, who has the indestructible Vajra body. His fist technique has also reached a high level, and it has reached the acme of perfection. Just a casual move is natural, flawless, and untraceable. He is simply a martial Dao grandmaster. Not to mention this bastard's character, his strength is really terrifying. If he advances to the 9th heaven of the martial master realm in a few years, I guess there will be no suspense in the competition. Many people in the audience felt helpless. Even if they did not like Xiaoping, it was useless. This world was a world of martial artists, where the strong were respected, and the weak were prey to the strong. Whether or not he was strong, they would know after a battle. An expert would not fade because of other people's doubts, nor because of all kinds of rumors. No matter how unwilling and indignant they were, there was nothing they could do. They could only swallow their anger. However, such a result of the competition fell into the eyes of many core students, and immediately made their faces turn serious. They could not help but feel a faint trace of worry in their hearts. Because in order to obtain the infinite Longyang elixir, they had to fight with Choshu. If they lost the competition, not only would they lose the infinite Longyang elixir, but they would also lose their precious treasures. Chapter 601. At this moment, in one of the core students' resting rooms in Sun Moon City, Dao Bailon and the other core students who had bet with Choshu gathered together. The atmosphere in the resting room was heavy. This won't do. If this continues, this kid might really be able to win the championship. A core student's expression was very serious. Before, he was still careless, but now that he was serious, he even had a feeling that he was about to lose. Strength, speed, true essence, and even his comprehension of martial techniques are all at the peak of the martial master realm. A bald core student clenched his teeth. I didn't expect this to only be the 7th heaven of the martial master realm. I really can't imagine how terrifying this kid's strength will be if he advances to the 9th heaven of the martial master realm. After a few battles, they could see that Xiaoping definitely had the strength to win the championship. Ordinary experts of the 9th heaven of the martial master realm couldn't even block one of his punches. This kind of fist technique was already at the peak of perfection, entering the realm of perfection. Every move had the power to turn something rotten into something magical. This was the aura of a grandmaster. No wonder Choshu dared to bet with us. She didn't fight a battle that she had no confidence in. A core student clenched his fist. He was very unwilling. If he lost this time, not only would he not be able to get the limitless dragon sun pill, he would even lose 1,000-year-old spiritual medicine. This was like cutting off his flesh. This Xiaoping is indeed very impressive, but to say that he can win the championship is really overestimating him. Another core student with a crew cut laughed coldly. After entering the top 100, which one of them isn't a monster? All of them have trump cards. Some elite students at the peak of the martial master realm can even match experts who have just entered the grandmaster realm. He wants to win the championship. That's a fool's dream. Even after seeing Xiaoping's performance in the past few battles, he still didn't believe that Xiaoping could win the championship. Many core students had the same thoughts. But even so, they still felt a faint uneasiness in their hearts. This was because they didn't know what trump cards Xiaoping had. Although that's what you say, it's better to be safe than sorry. A black-clothed core student's eyes flashed with a cold light. We have to think of a foolproof plan. Otherwise, if this brat really becomes the champion, we'll suffer heavy losses. This is like cutting our flesh and drawing our blood. His expression was ferocious and murderous. This bet couldn't be lost. Oh? Foolproof plan? Hua Gang, could it be that you have some idea? The course students present all turned their heads to look at the student in black. This was Ares College's course student, Hua Gang. Make him withdraw from the competition. The black-clothed student, Hua Gang, sneered and said something that shocked the world. Withdraw. Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding course students immediately lit up. This was indeed a good solution. Once this kid Xia Ping withdrew from the competition, it would naturally be impossible for him to become the champion. They would win the bet, and they wouldn't even need to be afraid that this kid would advance triumphantly and win the championship. Brilliant, this method is really brilliant. This is a drastic measure. If this kid withdraws from the competition, we will naturally win without a fight. The problem is, how do we get this kid to withdraw from the competition? This is going to be troublesome. Quite a few course students were overjoyed, nodding their heads. They felt that this was a brilliant plan. However, it was difficult to make someone who had a chance of becoming the champion withdraw from the competition. What else can we do? Go straight to the point. Hua Gang smiled sinisterly. We will call him out directly and ask him to withdraw from the competition. I believe that if we, the course students, go over to pressure him, how would a mere elite student dare to disobey? Then we will just give him a few pills and send him away. I believe that he can only swallow his anger. Of course, if he doesn't give us face, and doesn't take it when we give him face, we don't need to be polite with him. We will directly destroy his prestige. His tone was extremely domineering, wanting to use his power to suppress others. Not bad, this is a good idea. Let's do it this way. Let him withdraw from the competition. This is foolproof. But this matter must be kept secret. We can't let Qiushue and the others know, or else there will be a storm. Without evidence, she can't do anything to us. No need to worry. Many course students decided on this matter in a few words. In order to obtain the infinite Longyang pill, in order to win the bet, they did not care what methods they used. I won't be involved in this matter. Dao Bailon stood out at this moment. I still feel that this matter is too despicable. Using power to suppress others is extremely inappropriate. This is giving others a handle. Actually, even if we don't do anything, this kid will not be able to become the champion. Right now, all of you are afraid of Qiushue, that bitch. In front of so many prodigies, no matter how strong that kid is, he won't be able to overturn the heavens. She expressed that she didn't want to be involved in this matter. Dao Bailon, what do you mean by this? Hua Gang stared at Dao Bailon. We are all on the same boat. We should advance and retreat together. Now you actually say that this matter is too despicable and you don't want to be involved. Do you know that your actions are very disunited? Do you know what it means to consider the big picture? Many course students looked at Dao Bailon with unfriendly expressions. What? Do you still want to fight with me? Dao Bailon laughed coldly. It's not that I'm looking down on you. Just based on your shrimp soldiers and crab generals, I can handle them with one hand. You! A group of course students stared at Dao Bailon in anger. They were extremely annoyed. Enough, don't fight among yourselves here. A highly respected course student spoke, since you, Dao Bailon, don't want to be involved, then we won't force you. But you mustn't tell anyone about this matter. Otherwise, you will become our enemy, and we won't rest until one of us dies. He was called Chao Jingbin, a terrifying master at the peak of Grand Master. Even among this group of course students, he was overwhelmingly powerful. Countless course students revered him, and he was highly respected. Once these words were spoken, the other course students immediately shut up. Of course, although I don't approve of this matter, but to be able to make Qiushue suffer, I still feel very happy. Naturally, I won't tell anyone. Alright, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. After saying this, Dao Bailon turned around and left. Seeing Dao Bailon's figure disappear from this room, Hua Gang fiercely slammed the table with a bang. He said coldly, that bitch, she made it sound nice. She just didn't want to get involved in this kind of thing and give others a handle over her. That's why she purposely said such things. Now that she's gotten the benefits, she doesn't want to take any blame. What a good scheme. He was extremely unconvinced. Forget it. Either way, this matter is of great benefit to us. If she doesn't tell anyone about this, it'll be considered a favor. And she won't be able to escape this responsibility. Chao Jingbin said lightly. Anyway, we must win this bet. We must be absolutely safe. His eyes revealed a frightening cold light. He was determined to get the ultimate Dragon Sun pill. Because he was at the peak of Grand Master, and had yet to break through. One could imagine his desire for the ultimate Dragon Sun pill. Chapter 602. At this moment, Sun Moon City's dining hall. After a day of battles, Xia Ping came to the dining hall to eat. The food provided here was all free. This was a benefit for the participants. Moreover, there was a wide variety of food. There were all kinds of monster meat, exotic delicacies, wild spirit herbs, and so on. They were all very delicious and contained abundant energy. Not only could eating them relieve fatigue, but it could also strengthen the body's true essence. He came to an empty table alone and enjoyed the food happily. As soon as he ate, it was immediately converted into a large amount of pure essence qi, which flowed into his limbs and bones. Xia Ping felt that his whole body was warm, as if there were more than 10 warm currents running around in his body. Xia Ping. At this moment, a young man dressed in red walked over. He looked down at Xia Ping with an arrogant expression and said, "My big brother has something to discuss with you. Come out now and find a quiet place to talk." He was not polite and wanted to call Xia Ping out. There were 2 or 3 people behind this man. They seemed to be his companions. Xia Ping glanced sideways and saw that this young man was also a participant in the top 100. He said indifferently, "Who is your big brother? If he wants to talk, ask him to come out himself. Why do you want me to go over? Do you know what you're worth?" "What?" Hearing this, the group of people revealed anger and glared at Xia Ping. "Brat!" The young man in red glared at Xia Ping. "My big brother is a core student and a grandmaster. Such a person invited you, and you want him to come over? Do you know what you're saying?" He clenched his fists and suppressed his anger. "So what if you're a core student? Is that so great? You want to take advantage of your seniority and put on airs in front of me? You're not qualified at all." Xia Ping said disdainfully. "If you have nothing to say, then scram. I can't be bothered to talk to you bunch of losers." He waved his hand and ordered the group of people to leave. "Xia Ping!" The young man in red shouted angrily. "Don't be so shameless. It's your honor that a core student invited you. He wants to give you some advice. Don't be so ungrateful." The others also had anger in their eyes, and their faces were very unkind. They felt that this brat did not know how to behave. With that, the young man in red reached out to grab Xia Ping's collar. Bang! Xia Ping raised his hand and struck out with a slap that was like the horn of an antelope. It was traceless and contained supreme martial profundities, causing the red-clothed young man to be unable to react at all. Ah! Suddenly, the red-clothed young man was caught off guard. His face took a solid slap, and his entire body flew through the air, spinning 7 or 8 times. He let out a shrill scream and finally fell from the sky, smashing several wooden tables in succession. The surrounding students who were eating were so frightened that they retreated, knocking over the food on the table. The ground was a mess. "I gave you face, but you don't want it." Xia Ping stood up and glanced at them disdainfully. "I told you to scram just now, but you didn't. Instead, you're chattering here and disturbing my meal. Do you really think that I don't have a temper? If I don't flip out, no one will take my words seriously, right? Tell me, are you scum? Do you need to be beaten up before you know what it means to be obedient?" He clenched his fists, and his body emitted a boundless murderous aura that intimidated everyone present. Fuck, domineering, too domineering. Seeing Xia Ping's rude and unreasonable behavior, the group of people who came with the red-clothed young man were all shocked. They retreated more than 10 steps, not daring to get close to Xia Ping. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that this brat would be so fierce. He attacked without saying anything. He was simply ignoring the rules of the Sun Moon City. He was extremely domineering. The surrounding onlookers also looked at Xia Ping speechlessly. This brat still has the cheek to act like this. He doesn't even have a temper. What do you mean by having a temper? Beating people up at the slightest provocation? No one's temper is as big as this brat's. You! The red-clothed young man was practically going crazy. He covered his red and swollen face because Xia Ping's slap just now had caused his face to swell, leaving a red palm print. Even 2 of his front teeth were broken, and a large amount of blood gushed out of his mouth. Traces of intense pain spread throughout his body, as if all the nerves in his body were pricking. However, this kind of pain was secondary. Most importantly, he was slapped by this brat in front of so many people. This kind of humiliation was simply intolerable. You? Do you believe that I won't slap you again? Xia Ping shouted, a lowly person dares to talk to me? You don't even know your own identity. If your big brother wants to talk to me, tell him to get over here. Why are you all hiding your head and showing your tail? Do you think that your identity is very mysterious? You all pretend to be a nobody. Despicable Xia, I'll fight it out with you. The red-clothed young man was so angry that the firecracker in his heart suddenly exploded. He couldn't bear it at all. His expression was extremely ferocious. He circulated the qigong in his body and punched towards Xia Ping. This punch was like the arrival of a giant bear. The surrounding air was vibrating, showing the combat power of a peak 9th heaven martial master. The entire dining hall was swept by this strong wind, and it seemed that the ground was trembling. Stop! With a boom, suddenly, a pressure of Mount Tai descended, instantly wrapping the red-clothed young man's body, making his fist unable to move even an inch. Even the place where he stood seemed to have exerted 10 times the gravity. It immediately collapsed, forming a deep pit. Whoosh! Next, a figure appeared. It was a black-clothed man. He blocked in front of the red-clothed young man with one palm. His clothes fluttered even though there was no wind, showing the aura of a grandmaster. The surrounding audience was shocked. They had no idea when this black-clothed man appeared. He was like a bolt of lightning, a speed that even the human eye couldn't catch. Xia Ping's infernal crow eyes could barely see it, but he knew that even if he could see it, his body wouldn't be able to react. This speed had already surpassed the current reaction speed of his body. Big Brother Huagang. Seeing the black-clothed man appear, the red-clothed young man was stunned for a moment, then said angrily, "Don't stop me. This kid is too arrogant. I must kill him." He gritted his teeth, incomparably resentful. Enough. The black-clothed man Huagang stared at him, his eyes filled with supreme majesty. Yes, big brother. Feeling the pressure, the red-clothed young man immediately lowered his head, not daring to speak again. My brother was indeed a bit impulsive just now, causing you trouble. I can apologize on his behalf, Huagang said to Xia Ping in a deep voice. It's okay. Just be careful next time. Remember to educate him more in the future. Otherwise, if he provokes others, no one will be able to protect him, Xia Ping said carelessly. What? Chapter 603. Everyone else had a strange expression on their faces. Although they had heard of Xia Ping's reputation, and that he was simply a piece of work, now that they saw it, it seemed that his reputation was not as good as meeting him in person. Since you want to talk to me, then let's talk here. Huagang looked at Xia Ping indifferently, then turned to the others and said, You guys go clear the area, let the irrelevant people leave now, don't be a hindrance here. Yes, big brother. The surrounding people all nodded, and they immediately took action, driving away all the students who were eating, occupying an area, and completely emptying it. At the same time, they worked together, circulating the qigong in their bodies, condensing a huge true energy shield, as if forming an absolute domain. No sound could penetrate this energy shield. Alright, what do you want to talk to me about? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows, looking at the core student Hu Gang. The other used such a big force, and even lowered his posture. It seemed that his demands were high. Junior Xia is indeed a straightforward person. Then I will be direct. Actually, I want you to withdraw from this competition of geniuses. Hu Gang said bluntly to Xia Ping. Withdraw from the competition? Xia Ping looked at Hu Gang with a smile that was not a smile. Hu Gang smiled slightly. Of course, we will not let you suffer. As long as you are willing to withdraw from the competition, then we can also make up for some of your losses, whether it is money, medicinal pills, or martial arts manuals, etc. He revealed a rich and overbearing look. Why do you want me to withdraw from the competition? What does my participation in the competition have to do with you, a core student? Xia Ping narrowed his eyes, looking at Hu Gang. You do not need to know the reason, you only need to know that if you continue to participate in the competition, and even continue to win, then you will offend many core students. Hu Gang used both the carrot and the stick. I believe that you do not want this to happen, so I hope that you better agree. Do not shed all pretenses, or else it will not be good for you. His tone was full of threat. Alright, as for the reason you want me to withdraw from the competition, actually I do not mind. Xia Ping said carelessly, but without enough compensation, I will not withdraw. Oh, what do you want? Hu Gang immediately laughed. He was afraid that Xia Ping would not have anything to talk about. As long as he was willing to talk, then this matter could be settled. 5 trillion. Xia Ping stretched out 5 fingers. As long as you promise to give me 5 trillion federal coins, then I will withdraw from this competition. He put forward his own conditions. 5 trillion federal coins? Why don't you just fucking rob a bank? No, even if you rob the Central Federal Bank, you might not be able to get that much money. Are you crazy? The man in red cursed. He looked at Xia Ping as if he was a madman. The corners of the others' mouths twitched. Did they know what 5 trillion federal coins meant? Even an astronomical figure could not describe this sum. Even if an ordinary sovereign clan sold their entire fortune, they would not be able to fork out this sum. Now this kid wants 5 trillion federal coins. He's really crazy about money. Not even 5 trillion. What a bunch of paupers. Xia Ping disdainfully said, alright, if you don't have federal coins, you can use other things to exchange, such as treasures. Just give me 7 or 8 of them. My requirements aren't high. Or you can also give me 3 or 5 Peerless King grade secret manuals. If you have any 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, you can give me 2 or 3. I'm not picky. He showed that he was not fastidious. You're crazy. The man in red and the others did not even have the strength to scold him because such a request was beyond their imagination. Do you know what treasures are? Even king grade experts did not have one. This was a truly priceless weapon, a treasure that could not be bought with money. Once one obtained it, it would definitely be the clan's treasure. A Peerless King grade secret manual was even more of a supreme treasure. Unless one was a superclass clan or a peak power, they would not be able to find such a secret manual. This was an absolute secret. Some people had once wanted to use an entire city to exchange for a Peerless King grade secret manual, but they were all rejected. One could imagine how precious such a secret manual was. It could no longer be measured by price. And 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, they had only heard of such things. They had not even seen many of them. If they really appeared, even king-grade experts would go crazy and fight for them. How could they have a chance? This kid wanted to get 2 or 3 of them. Why didn't he go to the heavens? Dream on, they might still be able to obtain them. Your request is too much. It's very unrealistic. Hu Gang's expression was very dark. If you want money, I can make the decision to give you 50 billion federal coins. No more than that. He also put forward his own conditions: 50 billion federal coins. Are you trying to get rid of a beggar? Do you know what reward I will get for becoming the champion of the genius battle? Treasures, a peerless treasures. Xia Ping looked at Huagang with disdain. You don't even want to pay a price and want me to withdraw from the competition. You're simply a fool's dream. He no longer wanted to talk to this group of people. There was no sincerity at all. Brag, continue to brag. You want to become the champion of the genius battle with this kind of conduct? Why don't you say that your father is the Federation president? That way, more people might believe you. 50 billion federal coins is already not bad. If you lose the competition, you won't even get a fart. This is a benefit that Brother Huagang is clearly giving you, but you don't even know how to cherish it. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Do you understand? The red-clothed young man and the others were so angry that they almost died, glaring at Xia Ping. 100 billion, 100 billion, what do you think? Huagang said in a deep voice. Xia Ping waved his hand. Get out of here. 5 trillion federal coins, I can't be bothered with you even if it's a penny less. You'll regret it. Huagang didn't continue to pester him. He looked deeply at Xia Ping with a deep threat. Get out. Xia Ping only said this one word. He was too lazy to say anything else. Whether he would regret it later or not was not up to this kid to judge. Who did he think he was? Did he really think he was a king? Humph, let's go. Huagang waved his hand and turned to leave. His face was gloomy, and there was a terrifying anger in his heart. At this moment, he even wanted to kill Xia Ping. But he didn't say anything, nor did he bargain. He didn't even have the mood to bid anymore. Because he knew that according to Xia Ping's attitude, this matter had fallen through. It was impossible for him to accept such an absurd price. To be honest, if he had 5 trillion federal coins, why would he need to gamble with Choshu? He would have bought these peerless pills a long time ago. No matter what, he would be able to advance to the king realm. Therefore, these conditions that Xia Ping put forward were impossible for them to agree to. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The red-clothed man and the others also glanced at Xia Ping. Without saying anything, they all left the cafeteria. Chapter 604. At this time, in a hotel room in Sun Moon City. Did you hear? In the room, Su Mei smiled and said to Choshu, just now, Huagang's group went to find Xia Ping. Although I don't know what they are doing, I think they want Xia Ping to withdraw from the competition. They want to win without a fight. Aren't you nervous? She looked at Choshu. There is nothing to be nervous about. This group of people has a wishful thinking. Unfortunately, they don't know what kind of person Xia Ping is. He is a stone in the latrine pit, neither soft nor hard. He is not easy to deal with. Choshu knew everything and her expression was indifferent. No need to say more. They must have failed. They did fail. Su Mei nodded. When they left, they were flustered and exasperated. Without a doubt, they did not reach an agreement. But you know Xia Ping so well. This is really out of my expectation. She thought this news would scare Choshu. She wanted to see her anxious expression, but she was indifferent, as if she had a card up her sleeve. After all, I have been his homeroom teacher for a year. I more or less know his character. Choshu's beautiful eyes twinkled. She also thought of the series of things that Xia Ping had experienced. And the prize for the champion of the genius competition is a treasure. That is a priceless treasure. I believe that kid will not give it up no matter what. As for Huagang's group, even if you beat them to death, they would not be able to take out something that is more valuable than a treasure. Therefore, their plan will definitely fail. There is no possibility of success. She knew both sides' characters very well. Amazing! Su Mei also admired Choshu. Not only was her martial talent amazing, but her intelligence was also off the charts. It could only be said that enemies who dared to go against her all died miserably. But he is still very mysterious. Until now, I still don't know how he soared to the sky. Qiuxiu's beautiful eyes twinkled. She was still very curious about Xiaoping's sudden rise. But Huagang's group will not let this go. Su Mei looked at Qiuxiu with a smile. Even if the negotiation breaks down, according to their characters, they will definitely think of all kinds of crooked ideas. They might even dare to stab you in the back. Don't you need to be on guard? She thought that Huagang's group might use all kinds of despicable methods. In order to win, they would not care about their reputation and would do anything. They would do anything. It's just some crafty plots. Qiuxiu sneered and said, "It's because they use these unpresentable things that they are stuck in the supreme power realm for such a long time and can't break through. They lose the bravery of warriors. With my invincible martial arts state of mind, they will be like this for the rest of their lives. However, we do have to be on guard. If they dare to plot against Xiaoping, then this bet will be cancelled. We might even have to sue them for breaking the bet and demand huge compensation." She had already thought of a series of countermeasures, and her killing intent soared. Su Mei ran her fingers through her hair. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a peculiar light. This matter was getting more and more interesting. She didn't know if that brat could really become the champion of the genius competition. On the other side, the first bureau cultivators, Huagang, and the other core students had also gathered together. At this time, they also received the news that Xiaoping refused to withdraw from the competition, and all of them had gloomy expressions. "You don't know how to appreciate favors." A core student coldly snorted. "He actually doesn't give us core students any face. Does a mere freshman like him want to die? Does he know the consequences and price of offending us core students? Can he at least bear it?" He was very angry that Xiaoping dared to refuse their conditions. He still wants to ask for 5 trillion federal coins. This is too exaggerated. This is simply robbery. What do you think we core students are? Fools, ATM machines? We can take whatever money we want. There is no doubt that this brat proposed such ridiculous conditions. He is simply toying with us. He doesn't have any sincerity. Maybe this brat has long been in cahoots with that bitch Qiuxiu. That's why he said such words. Damn it, he actually dares to play with us. I will not forgive this son of a bitch. Many core students were cursing, and all of them were very angry. A mere elite student actually dared to oppose them, core students. This could not be described as bold and arrogant, but clearly courting death. Huagang, tell me, what should we do about this matter? Should we immediately cripple this brat and secretly send people to break his limbs and make him withdraw from the competition? A core student was full of killing intent. He wanted to secretly make a move and cripple Xiaoping. According to his grandmaster's strength, dealing with a mere martial master was simply a piece of cake. No. Chao Xingbin suddenly said, "Just now, Qiuxiu has already sent an email to warn us not to break the rules of the game. If anything happens to Xiaoping, she will flip the table and give us a good look." What? Hearing this, the faces of the other elite students suddenly became ugly. If it was an ordinary person who said such words, they would not take it seriously at all, and even snort disdainfully. But the person who said these words was Qiuxiu, the woman who could be called a peerless demon. There was no doubt that this woman would definitely be promoted to the king realm in the future, and her strength would be amazing. If they offended such a strong person, even the families behind them would not be able to bear such consequences. If they forced Qiuxiu to turn hostile and flip the table, they would not have an easy time either. Moreover, this matter was really their fault. If they directly took action and dealt with Xiaoping, it would be breaking the rules of the game. No matter where they put it, it would not be justified. If this matter was blown up by Qiuxiu, they would definitely not be able to bear the consequences, and they might even be forced to bow their heads by their families. Damn it, this won't do, that won't do. Are we just going to watch this toy boy run amok and continue to be free and unfettered? A core student was very sullen. This was the first time he had been forced to this extent by a small elite student. When did core students have to bow their heads to elite students? There was no such logic in the world, and it was unheard of. Not necessarily. Hua Gang's eyes revealed a trace of cold light. Although we can't kill that guy, we can improve the strength of those opponents. In short, if this guy can't win the championship, it will be our victory. He came up with a vicious plan. Oh, what do you want to do? Chao Jingbin and the others looked at Hua Gang. Hua Gang sneered, it's very simple. We will immediately issue a reward. Whoever can defeat Xiaoping will get a huge reward. Even if someone can injure Xiaoping during the competition, they will also get a reward. After one competition after another, this guy's injuries continue to worsen. Even if he really has the ability to advance to the finals, he would already be riddled with scars by now. Let me ask you, how is he going to defeat the other geniuses and become the champion? Hearing this, the eyes of the surrounding core students all lit up. This plan was not bad, and it was simply an overt plot. No matter how powerful that guy was, if he were to face a group of opponents who were going all out, it would be impossible for him to win consecutively. Chapter 605. Dang, 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 the next day, the bell rang again, announcing the start of the competition. With a swoosh, Xiaoping also quickly entered the arena for the final battle. At this time, there were more people paying attention to the competition. Because it was already the top 100 competition, most of the elite students had been eliminated, and the remaining ones were the elites of the elites. Because of this, the contestants were even more eye-catching. Almost every match was watched by a large number of people. At this time, standing in front of Xiaoping was a young man with a very strange appearance. His face was green, and he was also wearing a green camouflage suit. He stood on the ground, and his feet were like tree roots, deeply rooted in the ground, as stable as Mount Tai, as if he were a 1,000-year-old tree, integrated with heaven and earth. This was an expert at the peak of LV9 martial master, and his body contained a terrifying aura. Lu Mu of the Lu family. The young man said lightly, looking at Xiaoping. Lu Mu, the most outstanding descendant of the Lu family. He seems to have the bloodline of the demonic tree, and he even cultivates the upper king-level cultivation method, withered wood divine art. He is born to control the power of wood, and can be called the son of nature. In the live broadcast room, someone immediately revealed all kinds of information about Lu Mu. He has the bloodline of the demonic tree. No wonder his face is green. Did I think he was sick before? Xiaoping almost took advantage of him and won without a fight. Sick. This is a symbol of the extremely rich bloodline of the demonic tree. His wood power is almost at the peak, and his vitality is magnificent. It can be said that his life is more than 10 times that of ordinary people. No one can live longer than him. Damn, this is the advantage of the bloodline of the demonic tree. His lifespan is longer than others. I envy him. Lu Mu's strength is not simple. He basically defeated all the opponents he met before. If Xiaoping meets this guy, he will probably be in danger. Many people were envious. With such a bloodline, their lifespan was extremely long. It could be said that every generation of the Lu family had a very long life, and there were still many old antiques left. But it was also because of this that the descendants of the Lu family had difficulty reproducing. It would take a long time for a child to appear, and every child that appeared was like a treasure. Xiaoping of Yanhuang University. Xiaoping touched his chin, looked at Lu Mu, and asked curiously, "Why is your face green? Are you sick? Or did your wife cheat on you?" "I was born with it." The corner of Lu Mu's mouth twitched. It seemed that he didn't want to say more. Xiaoping blinked his eyes. This kind of thing can be born? Really? It was not only the first time he had seen such a thing, but also the first time he had heard of it. Shut up. Lu Mu didn't want to pay attention to this kid's nonsense. He shouted, "Kid, you can be considered a dark horse. You can actually fight your way into the top 100. You're also very capable. But today, it's over. Although there is no enmity between the two of us, you actually dared to offend so many core students. All of them said that they would give me benefits and wanted me to cause trouble for you. This is your bad luck. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Just last night, many elite students had received news that whoever could defeat Xiaoping or injure him would obtain great benefits, even gaining the friendship of a core student. Lu Mu didn't expect that he would meet Xiaoping. This was simply God helping him. It was clear that God wanted to give him benefits so that he could rise quickly. Now he was very excited. Core students? Xiaoping said lazily, they're just a group of rats who hide their heads and show their tails. You dare to take the benefits they give you. Aren't you afraid of being poisoned to death? I advise you not to be with those rats. It will lower your style. He kindly reminded the other party. In the live broadcast room, a group of core students saw this situation, and their faces were very black. This bastard actually dared to blatantly talk about him. He was simply a bastard. Humph, whether there are benefits or not, you must lose today. Die. Lu Mu roared and immediately attacked. Withered with divine art. Rumble at this moment, bursts of green aura erupted from his body, bursting out from 108,000 pores, almost filling a radius of 10 meters with this aura. Walala! Immediately, the ground where his feet stood immediately shook, and countless cracks appeared. Then, a bucket-sized vine grew wildly, hundreds and thousands of them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, Lu Mu clapped his hands, and hundreds and thousands of vines madly rushed over. They were extremely fast, like sniper bullets, tearing through the air. If a martial artist was hit by these vines, his whole body would immediately be torn apart and turned into a mass of meat sauce. Even these vines contained a trace of dead aura. As long as one touched it, there was a smell of death that could corrode one's body and stop the circulation of true essence. As expected of the withered with divine skill. It's too strong. The audience was all shocked. Seeing Lu Mu's attack, they knew that this young man's strength was extraordinary. His martial arts strength had reached the peak. Many elite students who were eliminated were also shocked. Seeing the power of such an attack, they were also convinced of their defeat. If they were to face this attack, they would probably be captured with their hands tied. Withered with divine skill? It's indeed a good cultivation method, but it's a pity that you met your nemesis. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness, and his body moved freely. Bang! At this moment, Xia Ping took a step forward and ran the pure yang immortal incantation. The true essence in the depths of his dantian revolved slowly like a sun, containing incomparable mystery. Wisps of flame aura instantly burst out from his body, and his whole body turned into a 4 or 5 meter high man of fire, burning with dark red flames. The water on the ground evaporated in an instant, turning into gravel like a desert. Even the stones melted and solidified into masses of molten lava. Dong! Xia Ping's right hand suddenly blasted out, condensing a terrible flame, like a flame giant punching out. The whole world was shaking, and the flame transformed into a divine bird. They screeched and flew in all directions. It seemed that at this moment the entire fighting space had turned into a world of flames, and the temperature rose by hundreds of degrees. Bang! 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 The flame and the vines collided in an instant, and immediately there was a fierce roar, like meteorites colliding together. The force of the collision caused a deep crack in the ground. Huh, Nemesis? Who are you talking about? Chapter 606. Xia Ping is done for. Although fire qigong can restrain wood skills, it depends on what kind of skill it is. Although the withered wood divine art is also considered a wood attribute cultivation technique, it has reached the king level high rank. It contains a trace of the withered wood divine art concept, as well as a trace of death aura. It's impossible for a mere flame to defeat the withered wood divine art. There was an opponent who thought he could defeat Lu Mu with fire qigong. You can imagine the result. Lu Mu couldn't move at all. In the live broadcast room, many viewers were sneering. They thought Xia Ping was too naive. If he could defeat Lu Mu with a fire skill, Lu Mu would have been defeated many times. Can't burn? Who do you think you are facing? Xia Ping's eyes were cold. His golden crow eyes of hell rotated slowly and a ball of fire suddenly appeared. All the golden crow hell cells in his body were trembling. A mysterious power spread to these flames. Whoosh! Suddenly, the temperature of these flames rose by hundreds of thousands of degrees. It was like a solar furnace that was about to refine the whole world. Immediately, the vines were set on fire. In just a few breaths, these vines that came into contact with the flames were burned to ashes. How is this possible? Lu Mu was stunned. He couldn't believe his eyes. His withered wood divine skill was a wood skill that could even extinguish flames. What was going on? Why couldn't he extinguish this kid's flames? How could he know how terrifying Xia Ping's pure yang immortal skill was? At the beginning, his flames contained a trace of the essence of the sun. The temperature of the flames was so high that it could burn gold and iron. Now, he had obtained the bloodline of the golden crow hell. This made the flames on his body even more terrifying. If he released his full strength, he could burn a grassland into a desert and steal the lives of the earth. It was not impossible to resist the flames on Xia Ping's body. However, it would need a rare water like the first Yuan heavy water. Nothing else could stop it. Impossible? Wait until I kill you with a punch. Then you will know that it is impossible. Xia Ping took a step forward. He circulated his fire true yuan and punched the air. Bang bang bang. This punch was matchless and invincible. It was like a supreme fist of flames, causing the entire ground to tremble. The hundreds and thousands of vines growing in the surroundings were quickly torn apart. Crash! When the flames bombarded the vines, they were quickly burned to ashes. With a bang, Lu Mu was unable to block the punch and was sent flying. He coughed up a mouthful of blood in midair. Large amounts of blood splattered on the ground, making sizzling sounds. However, under the scorching temperature, the blood evaporated and turned into steam. In the end, he fell to the ground and coughed up blood. Several bones in his body were broken. I was just pretending to be unlucky to have met you. How about now? Am I still unlucky? Xia Ping clenched his fists and looked down at Lu Mu. Tell me, what are your thoughts now? Demons. The group of audience members all bared their teeth. The other party had already been beaten to such a state by you, and you actually asked him what he thought? Wasn't this slapping his face to death? This was not giving him any face at all. Screw you. Lu Mu stood up and flew into a rage. He glared at Xia Ping. You think you can win just because you punched me? You want to force me to a dead end? Even if I can't win this time, don't think you can get away with it. Ha! Xia Ping frowned. He felt a burst of bad aura coming from Lu Mu. Profound meaning of withered wood divine skill, withered wood in spring. With a bang, Lu Mu activated the withered wood divine skill. Immediately, his whole body seemed to burst out bursts of green light, and there seemed to be a ball of green energy slowly rotating in the depths of his heart. The strength in his body increased exponentially. It seemed that with every breath, he would become stronger. In the end, the strength in his body suddenly broke through to the guru realm. Lu Mu is crazy. Someone couldn't help shouting. This is the profound meaning of withered wood divine skill. Once used, it can completely activate the power of the body's bloodline. From the moment of death to the moment of life, it will burst out infinite power and can improve one's level. Although this power can only burst out for a moment, it is more than enough to deal with an enemy of the same level. The problem is, if this kind of profound meaning is used, he will be unable to move for at least a month. It will consume all the essence and blood in his body, and it may even consume his body's potential. For a mere competition, he is actually risking his life like this. Many of the audience were shocked. No one had expected that Lu Mu would do such a thing. However, some course students were sneering because they had expected this. In order to let Xia Ping be eliminated, they promised these elite students that they would bear all the losses in the competition, so that these elite students could use all kinds of profound meanings without worry. Because the course students had all kinds of healing elixirs with them, which had endless magical effects. After taking them, no matter how serious Lu Mu's injuries were, he would recover in a few days, and even become stronger. Even though these healing elixirs were very expensive, they couldn't compare to the infinite Dragon Yang pill. For such a small investment, they were still willing to take it out. Boom! At this moment, Lu Mu moved. At this moment, like a guru, his body suddenly turned into a beam of green light, like a dragon. His fists were the dragon's horns, and his feet were the dragon's tail. This attack was extremely fast. Even an expert at the peak of the LV9 martial master realm couldn't react in time. This was the attack of a guru, which was beyond the imagination of a martial master. Lu Mu had stimulated all the potential in his body, so he could use the power of a guru for a moment. This kind of power was extremely terrifying. His chi vibrated, and the ground under his feet had a diameter of 10 meters. Infernal Golden Crow's Eyes. Xia Ping instinctively activated the Infernal Golden Crow's eyes. His left eye revolved crazily, and a ball of flame burned. His mind power seeped into it, and the power of his eyes spread out. At this moment, it seemed like the whole world had changed. Everything became slow, and even time seemed to have slowed down by 10 times or even 100 times. And with this kind of Infernal Golden Crow's eyes, Xia Ping could see the speed that a martial master couldn't see clearly, no matter how big or small it was. He even knew what Lu Mu was going to do next, as if he had the power to predict. This is amazing. Chapter 607. Ha! This feeling. Under the full activation of the Hell Golden Crows, Xia Ping felt that his perception of time seemed to be extended thousands of times, even if Lu Mu only needed a moment to attack him. But under his perception, it seemed that there were still 10 minutes, so he was still feeling the mysteries of his body. Under the observation of the Hell Golden Crow's eye, the mysteries of his body were extremely clear, and he reached the state of inner vision. Every inch of his muscles, every bone, every meridian, and even the state of true essence operation were clearly presented in his mind. Dark North Body Protecting Skill. At this moment, Xia Ping also operated the Dark North Body Protecting Skill, and a huge energy shield immediately enveloped his whole body, with almost no blind spots, and it was tight. No, this is too rough for the use of true essence. Originally, when Xia Ping operated the Dark North Body Protecting Skill, he didn't feel this at all, but under the Hell Golden Crow's eye, he noticed that his Dark North Body Protecting Skill seemed to be full of flaws. Essence particles were scattered around the body, forming a huge air shield, but these essence particles were not unified at all, nor did they form any regular distribution. In this way, the efficiency of the use of true essence was extremely low, and I don't know how much power was wasted. It turns out that I still know nothing about the Dark North Body Protecting Skill. Xia Ping was shocked. He had boasted that he had practiced the Dark North Body Protecting Skill to a perfect state. But in fact, under the meticulous observation of the Hell Golden Crow's eye, his movements were simply full of mistakes. Under the microscopic view, his use of true essence was so primitive, so rough, and so wasteful. I must inject my spiritual force into it and mobilize every essence particle. Concentrate and form a unity. I can't waste any power. Xia Ping adjusted his breathing and operated his true essence. The air vibrated and seemed to produce a strange rhythm, reaching the state of spiritual unity. The essence particles of the defensive air shield on his body were soon orderly. Previously, these Yuan Qi particles were just undisciplined troops. But after the current adjustment, it has become a uniform and experienced elite force. Their combat effectiveness is not comparable to before, and their efficiency has increased several times. A transparent energy barrier that was many times stronger than the previous one appeared. It could be said that this energy barrier was a defensive shield that had been tempered thousands of times. If the previous king's disciple Jia Jijie used the triple wave sword again, with the power of such a sword technique, he would not be able to break through the defense of Dark North's body protection technique, and it would be impossible to even shatter the chi cover. Dong! In the blink of an eye, Lu Mu's attack landed on Xia Ping's body like a green flood dragon. It contained the power of a guru and landed a punch on Xia Ping. Immediately, the shockwaves of the attack vibrated thousands of times. It was as if a piece of titanium alloy would turn into powder under such power. On the ground where Xia Ping stood, a deep pit with a diameter of several dozen meters was immediately formed. Cracks spread out, and smoke and dust billowed. It looked extremely terrifying. Such power! Xia Ping was also shocked. He could feel that this was the power of a true grandmaster, and it was no small matter. This had already transformed from true essence into astral energy, and the degree of energy condensation had increased by more than 10 times. The power of this strike was also extremely terrifying. If he hadn't used the Hell Golden Crow's Eye to improve the defense of his Dark North body protection technique, and he had also seen Lu Mu's attack and constantly offset the opponent's power. It was estimated that just this blow would have seriously injured him and he would have been unable to move for several days in bed. But even so, Xia Ping's body was still pushed back several dozen meters. A deep crack appeared on his body before he finally came to a stop. Puff! Xia Ping couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. This terrifying force penetrated in and shook his body crazily. Even a foreign kind of true essence penetrated in, containing the meaning of desolation, trying to destroy his internal organs. Walala, but he ran the pure yang immortal's secret art to burn his body, and a huge amount of molten lava rushed over, extinguishing the cyan foreign kind of true essence in an instant, and even refining it quickly. At the same time, the medicinal power in his body was also rapidly refining, and a large amount of true essence gushed out, constantly tempering every bone and every meridian in his body. With a bang, after such a blow, another meridian in his body was broken. Xia Ping felt that he felt better than ever. He was in high spirits, and a warm current was wandering around, healing every wound in his body, and his strength was constantly improving. However, in the eyes of the outside world, he spat out a large mouthful of blood, his body was covered with blood, and his face was pale, but he looked unprecedentedly miserable. Even though he was still standing in place, everyone could see that Xia Ping was unprecedentedly weak, as if he would fall to the ground with a little wind. Even such a blow can't defeat you, you win this game. At this time, Lu Mu also fell to the ground, gasping for breath. In order to display the profound meaning of the withered with divine power, he has exhausted all his energy. It can be said that he can't use any strength at all, his whole body is like a dead wood. If it weren't for the fact that he could still speak, others would think that he was a dry corpse without any blood. When he saw that Xia Ping was still standing on the ground and didn't fall at all, he knew that he had no hope. If even such a blow can't defeat Xia Ping, he didn't know how else to defeat him. Humph, of course, I win. This kind of attack is just a light breeze to me, not worth mentioning. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back, still looking like a master. Continue pretending. In the live broadcast room, countless audience members were grimacing in pain. Who didn't see how this kid vomited blood just now? He was hit by a grandmaster, how could he not be injured at all? It was clear that this kid was pretending to be strong, afraid that people would see that there was something wrong with him, that he was bluffing. In fact, everyone could see that this kid was weak, he was no longer as arrogant as before. Just keep pretending. Lu Mu gritted his teeth. Even if this blow can't defeat you, it is enough to make you suffer irreparable injuries, you won't be able to recover within 7 days. Even the withered with spiritual ether I left in your body, it contains the nirvana aura of life and death. If you want to expel this alien spiritual ether from your body, it will definitely take a lot of effort, you won't even have time to recover from your injuries. Although I haven't defeated you now, in the next game, you will lose without a doubt. Chapter 608. In the audience stand. This kid is going to lose. Seeing Xia Ping's expression, some of the course students immediately started laughing very carefreely. After being hit by Lu Mu's desperate attack, how could he not be injured? He's still pretending here, saying that he's fine. Who can't see that he's bragging? He only knows how to bluff here. In fact, he already has no strength. But he's also amazing. Under such a disadvantageous situation, he can still beat Lu Mu. This is worthy of praise. Praise my ass. He has been praised so much. Otherwise, how could he be so arrogant? This time, he can teach him a lesson. In the future, he should be low-key. Many course students were in a good mood. They finally saw their hope of winning. Even if Lu Mu didn't beat Xia Ping now, the next opponent would definitely beat him. Lu Mu is very good. He should be rewarded greatly. Hua Gang laughed, feeling that his plan had finally been partially realized. Even if that kid was as cunning as a ghost, he still had to drink the water he used to wash his feet. Indeed, if this continues, that kid will lose without a doubt. Chao Zhengbin also felt very satisfied. Before, they were worried that Xia Ping might win the championship, but now it seemed that this worry was all gone. A course student said proudly, "I wonder what that bitch Qiuxiu will think when she sees this situation. Will she regret making this bet with us? This time, I want her to lose chicken feathers and duck blood." Qiuxiu didn't have any expression. She just watched the competition quietly. But in the eyes of the other course students, they thought that she was absolutely annoyed, but she couldn't say anything, so she was expressionless. At this time, the system immediately announced that Xia Ping was the winner, and Lu Mu was eliminated. There were still 2 hours before the next match, so Xia Ping took advantage of this time to rest and restore his Jin Yuan and physical strength. But the other audience was also in an uproar. This Xia Ping is really unlucky to meet such a ruthless person. Indeed, he would rather lose himself than drag others down with him. It's really hurting others without benefiting himself. Poor Xia Ping. This kid has the momentum of winning the championship, but he has to admit defeat in the next match. He deserves it. Who told this guy to be so arrogant and look down on the world strong? Now, he was deliberately targeted by the enemy, so he ended up like this. If this doesn't serve him right, then what does? That's true. If it weren't for the fact that this brat was too arrogant and displeased so many people, Lu Mu wouldn't have done such a thing. I can only say that this brat has angered everyone. Many of the spectators shook their heads. They were all discerning people. Naturally, they could tell that Xia Ping was bluffing. After all, he had suffered such a fierce blow. He was hit by the power of a grandmaster. How could a mere martial master withstand it? Actually, back in the mainland, he had already been severely injured, and he no longer had any combat strength left in him. Although it seemed to be Xia Ping's victory, it was actually a lose-lose situation. Some people rejoiced in Xia Ping's misfortune, thinking that Xia Ping deserved it. They were incomparably proud, hoping to see Xia Ping eliminated in the next match, hoping to see that brat's miserable face. 2 hours later, the next round of the competition began. Xia Ping stood in the duel space with his hands behind his back, giving off the aura of a grandmaster. It was as if he was invincible and no one could defeat him. However, the spectators could tell that this brat was bluffing. From his trembling hands, pale face, and a trace of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, they could tell that the injuries he had suffered in the previous battle had not healed. This was also normal. Such serious injuries could not be healed in 2 hours. Whoosh! Immediately, a man in a black robe appeared in front of Xia Ping. His body exuded a gloomy and evil aura. He looked like a bat, and his face was pale as if he hadn't seen the sun for many days. "I'm good, the man in the black robe's voice was hoarse. He stared at Xia Ping and said, "I've heard of your reputation before. You're only a LV7 martial master, but you were able to defeat so many strong opponents and enter the top 100. You even defeated someone like Lu Chao. You're really amazing. It's a pity that you dared to offend a core student and angered everyone. This is a suicidal behavior. It seems that after this match, it's the end for you. His tone was murderous. The end? I still want to go one step further and win the championship, Xiaoping said lightly. The man in the black robe, Guda, shook his head and said, "That's impossible. You can't defeat me." He was full of confidence because he was from the Gu clan, a king clan. He had the Black Bat bloodline and was an expert in manipulating sound waves. He was also a peak LV9 martial master. If he couldn't defeat a severely injured LV7 martial master, he might as well commit suicide. It was better than embarrassing himself here. Is that so? I want to try. When the start of the match was announced, Xiaoping made the first move. He crossed dozens of meters with a single step and punched the air. It was as if he had the power of a tiger's thunder, shaking the mountains. That roar! At this moment, Guda reacted quickly. He circulated the true yuan in his body and mobilized the power of his bloodline. He opened his mouth and let out a loud roar. Rumble immediately, the entire battle space seemed to tremble. With Guda as the center, a terrifying sound wave was formed. It was almost tangible and stacked layer by layer. It was like a wave, attacking with an overwhelming force. However, the surrounding audience couldn't hear a sound wave like this at all. Because this was sound wave, its frequency was beyond the range that ordinary people could hear. Bang! When the fist collided with the sound wave, it was as if it had collided with a transparent sound wave barrier. Instantly, a huge force exploded out and crashed into it. Kacha-kacha sounds rang out, and the barrier seemed to be on the verge of collapse. How is this possible? Even at this level, the fist force is still so powerful. Guda was shocked. If it was an ordinary opponent, his attack would have severely injured their internal organs. They would have fallen to the ground and coughed out blood, unable to fight anymore. However, this guy's fist force was unparalleled. It was so fierce that it didn't seem like an injured person at all. I see. This guy is seriously injured. He wants to end the fight quickly to preserve his strength. Guda quickly noticed the trace of blood at the corner of Xiaoping's mouth and his pale face. These things revealed the weak nature of this guy's body. This guy probably knew that he couldn't hold on for too long based on his body's condition. Therefore, he wanted to end the fight quickly so that he could have more time to recover. Brat, you're looking down on me too much. You actually think that you can finish me off quickly. You're dreaming. Guda's heart surged with a trace of anger from being looked down upon. Chapter 609. Bang bang bang. In the battle space, two figures collided wildly, like two groups of energy. Every time they collided, there was an earth-shattering sound, like two wild beasts colliding. Xiaoping and Guda both used almost all their skills and tried their best. With each collision, a huge deep pit appeared on the ground, and gravel splashed everywhere, like the surface of the moon. Ha, well played, fight a protracted war with him and drag him to death. As expected of Guda, he is too smart. He completely understands what it means to fight a protracted war. Fuck, I'll see how long this kid can drag on with his seriously injured body. He will definitely collapse soon. The core students were all in a good mood and cheered loudly. They felt that Guda's actions were too much to their liking. If they continued to drag on like this, they would definitely win. However, Xiaoping's blood was boiling, and his eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Yes, continue, continue. Yes, attack a little more fiercely, a little more violently. As the attack became more and more fierce, the sound wave vibrated, crazily destroying every part of his body, and Xiaoping felt that it was getting stronger little by little, because the more the opponent attacked, the more efficient the Dark North body protection technique was in absorbing energy. This was equivalent to the top level of cultivation. The true qi in the body was increasing violently, and the medicinal energy contained in the body was also being refined little by little, flowing into his limbs and bones. He felt the true qi in his meridians surging like the sea, flowing into every meridian. This tyrannical true qi almost filled all his meridians, and it was like lava was crashing. Boom! At the moment when the true essence reached the apex, another meridian was opened, and the true essence was greatly increased. This was equivalent to the cultivation effect that might not be achieved even after several months of hard work. But with the help of the battle with the strong, he improved rapidly. What the hell, what's going on? Why do I feel that this kid is getting more and more fierce and violent, and the aura on his body doesn't show any signs of weakening? Isn't he seriously injured? Buddha was now in a state of confusion, because he found that after fighting for such a long time, Xiaoping seemed to be getting more and more violent, like a humanoid Tyrannosaurus Rex. Every punch and every kick contained terrifying power. On the contrary, from the start of the fight until now, his entire body had been shaken to the point that his bones were fractured, and his internal organs had suffered considerable damage. No matter how one looked at it, his injuries were more serious. If this continued, he didn't know if he could hold on. Don't worry, this is the final radiance of a setting sun. I'll be dead soon, Xiaoping shouted. Terminal lucidity. Buddha bared his teeth. Was this something a person with a terminal lucidity could say? Now, a trace of doubt arose in his heart. He wondered if this kid wasn't injured at all. The problem was that he had studied the video of the previous match several times, and the course students had analyzed it as well. Everyone agreed that this kid must have suffered an extremely serious internal injury. After all, Lu Mu's desperate attack was too terrifying. It had reached the level of a guru's attack. It was impossible for Lu Mu to remain unscathed, no matter how abnormal Lu Mu was. That's right, it's a psychological attack. This is definitely a psychological attack. Buddha immediately came to a realization. This kid knows that normal schemes can no longer disturb my mind, so he's doing the opposite and purposely saying that he's having a terminal lucidity. In this way, I'll be confused. I don't know what this kid's situation and what he's thinking. He's using such specious words to shake my mind. What a despicable guy. He really uses tricks to plot against his enemies all the time. He's so evil that his whole body is oozing pus. Thinking of this, he no longer had any doubts. He focused on dealing with Xiaoping and used all his strength. He had to completely defeat this kid. He swore that he wouldn't stop until he achieved his goal. Bang bang bang. Just like this, the two of them fought for more than 10 minutes, and they were almost evenly matched. Well, it seems that there's no training effect. Let's end the match like this. Xiaoping suddenly realized that the training effect of fighting with Buddha didn't seem to be as good as before. It was even close to zero. He immediately knew that there was no point in continuing to fight with Buddha. It was time to end it. At this moment, Xiaoping's true ether all condensed in his body. His momentum suddenly doubled, and a terrifying power gathered on his fist. Boom! This punch hit Buddha's body hard. How is this possible? He actually still has strength at this time. You must be joking. Buddha was instantly angry and anxious. He couldn't understand why this had happened. He had obviously fought with all his strength for such a long time. Even someone like him, who was unscathed and had a perfect body, was seriously exhausted and had less than 10% of his strength. But this kid was still so fierce. It was too unreasonable. However, before he could figure out what was going on, the power of this punch was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it pierced through his sound barrier and shattered like glass. Ah! With a bang, Buddha let out a shrill scream. His chest took a solid hit and his whole body flew backward, sliding along the ground for hundreds of meters. In the end, his neck tilted, and with a bang, he instantly fainted on the ground. He had already lost the ability to fight. The system prompted in time, Xiaoping wins. With a whoosh, in the next second, Buddha's body turned into a white light and was quickly teleported away. How is this possible? This kid actually won. Didn't they say that he was seriously injured? Why is he still so fierce? It's been more than 10 minutes, right? Did he take drugs? A course student immediately screamed, dumbfounded. He couldn't understand why this had happened at all. At this time, Xiaoping promptly knelt on one knee on the ground, panting heavily. His back was drenched in sweat, and he was panting. He looked like he had fought 300 rounds with a woman and was about to die. It seemed that as long as a strong wind blew, he would fall to the ground and vomit blood to death. But he was very tenacious and didn't fall. He was still panting heavily here. The last radiance of the setting sun. This is definitely the last radiance of the setting sun. That's right. This time, he probably used up all his strength to defeat Guda. This is very normal. After all, he is an unparalleled monster who defeated Lu Chao and the others. Although he is seriously injured now, his potential is endless. He still can't be underestimated. Even a broken ship still has a few nails. No matter what, he is a monster. It's not surprising that he can do this. In the next round, he is dead for sure. Yes, look at him. He definitely won't be able to last until the next round. To be honest, it's already not bad that he can last until now. His willpower is extremely tenacious. Chapter 610. However, the following matches did not go according to the plans of Huagang and the other core students. After defeating Guda, Xiaoping had entered the top 32. In this match, Xiaoping fought against the hidden weapons expert, Fu Yidao. Fu Yidao was indeed an expert who had entered the top 32. His hidden weapons were unparalleled, and he appeared and disappeared mysteriously. He was extremely powerful, and every hidden weapon he used contained a fatal killing intent. Ordinary experts in the 9th tier of the martial master realm would be hit by Fu Yidao's hidden weapons and be eliminated instantly. The group of course students were all looking forward to Fu Yidao defeating Xiaoping. However, Xiaoping used the Kunpeng steps. His footwork was exquisite, and he was surrounded by danger. However, he was able to avoid Fu Yidao's fatal attacks time and time again. In the end, they fought for 300 rounds. He took advantage of Fu Yidao's moment of carelessness to approach and punch him. Fu Yidao immediately lost his breath and fell unconscious. Xiaoping was also covered in blood. He seemed to have suffered unimaginable injuries and was about to die. The next match was for the top 16. His opponent was a palm technique expert, known as the sky-flipping hand, Chen Kun. He was proficient in the high-grade king-tier martial technique, the sky-flipping hand. His strength was extremely shocking. With one palm, he could even crush a small mountain and raise it to the ground. Many of the core students believed that with Xiaoping's injuries, it would be impossible for him to defeat the sky-flipping hand Chen Kun. Most likely, he would be killed right from the start. The problem was that Xiaoping was like an unkillable cockroach. He was constantly attacked by Chen Kun's sky-flipping hand. It was extremely powerful and the palm force was unparalleled. It had the power to overturn mountains and seas. Faced with such a palm technique, ordinary people would have been killed long ago. However, this guy was still alive and kicking. Every time he looked like he had been slapped to death, he would always stand up in the end. His vitality was extremely tenacious. After half an hour of fierce battle, Chen Kun was so tired that he wanted to vomit. His quintessential essence was almost used up. In the end, he was hit in the back of the head by Xiaoping. He fainted on the ground and was eliminated. As for Xiaoping, he gave Chen Kun a fatal blow. He also fell to the ground, gasping for breath. His breathing was weak, as if he would stop breathing at any time. At this time, Xiaoping had already advanced to the top 8. A day and a night had passed. Fuck, what the hell is going on? What kind of drugs did this kid take? That brat was clearly on the verge of death every time, but at the critical moment, he would suddenly become as lively as a dragon or a tiger. Is he not injured at all? Is he toying with us? A core student cursed. These past few days of competition had made him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He was about to see Xia Ping lose the competition, and he and the others were about to win the bet with Choshu. But at the critical moment, this fellow seemed to have been injected with stimulants, and his strength increased greatly. No matter what he did, he was unable to defeat him, and in the end, he actually turned defeat into victory. This caused him to feel extremely aggrieved. Impossible. A core student retorted, "It's not like you haven't seen the last few matches. Every single time, this kid has experienced a life or death battle. His entire body is covered in blood, and his Jin Yuan is completely exhausted. How could he not have any injuries on his body? I think this is the final radiance of the setting sun. He will definitely lose the next match." He gave his opinion. "Illuminate your sister." That core student spat in his face. "You guys also said the same thing in the previous 2 matches, saying that this is the final radiance of the setting sun. In the next match, he will definitely be divined and eliminated. But what is it now? This guy has already entered the top 8, and the people who competed with him have all been eliminated. Why don't you guys tell me when this final radiance of the setting sun will end? Why is it lasting for so long?" He was incomparably resentful. He had hoped time and time again, only to be met with disappointment again and again. No one could stand this kind of thing. This. The group of core students also felt incomparably aggrieved. They also could not understand why such a thing would happen. This kid was clearly about to be defeated, but at the critical moment, it was as if he was on drugs and became fierce. They were clearly just one step away from defeating him, but the problem was that they were just missing that crucial step, and there was nothing they could do, making them anxious here, but there was nothing they could do. "Don't worry," Hua Gang said in a low voice, "he definitely won't be able to be arrogant in the next match. He has already entered the top 8, and which one of them isn't a monster in the world? They can be said to be the top elite students, and each of them has the aptitude to become a king. Based on this kid's strength, in addition to his heavily injured body, if he can still win the next match and enter the top 4, then I won't have any sons in the future." He made a vicious vow. Hearing this, that core student had nothing to say. In reality, he only felt aggrieved and was very puzzled as to why that kid couldn't be defeated no matter what. Was there some inside information? But thinking about it carefully, to be able to enter the top 16 and top 8, which one of them didn't have a powerful background? How could a commoner like Xia Ping compare to them? It was basically impossible to bribe him. Moreover, those who entered the top 8 were all peerless geniuses. To be able to reach this step, it could no longer be described as luck. If Xia Ping wanted to continue winning, that was simply impossible. Oh no, everyone quickly go online and take a look. That bitch Xia Ping actually spread the news on the forum, saying that we core students set him up. He should be punished. A core student in white immediately shouted. His communicator vibrated, and someone reminded him that something big had happened on the internet. Xia Ping personally made a post and accused the core students. What? Hua Gang and the others were shocked. They also took out their communicators, opened the virtual projection, and immediately went to the largest communication forum in the cloud realm. Sure enough, they saw a post on the forum with a very big and sensational title. "Worse than a beast, core students are actually such people." This post mainly accused Hua Gang and the other core students, saying that these people intended to harm Xia Ping in the genius battle. They spent a lot of money to bribe the contestants and personally attacked him. They would rather lose than let others have an easy time. As a result, he was seriously injured, and now he almost lost the hope of becoming the champion. And under the post, Xia Ping also called for the officials of the genius battle to thoroughly investigate this matter and return the genius battle to justice. They should not let heartless and unscrupulous core students like Hua Gang continue to get away with it. They should be immediately arrested and imprisoned for a few decades. Only then could justice and fairness be demonstrated. Otherwise, there would be no justice left. At the same time, Xia Ping also demanded that Hu Gang and the other students must compensate him for the psychological damage he caused. Otherwise, he would send a lawyer's letter and sue this group of core students in court, making them bankrupt. Xia Ping, Hu Gang and the others looked gloomy. They did not think that Xia Ping would dare to do this, directly exposing the news on the forum. It was obvious that he wanted to shed all pretense of cordiality and go against them. Moreover, this post was already very popular, with more than 10 million views and hundreds of thousands of replies. Over time, these descendants of kings became incomparably arrogant and looked down on ordinary commoners, thinking that they were a cut above them. If Xia Ping, who was born as an ordinary commoner, won the championship, then where would these descendants of kings put their faces? Wouldn't that be mocking them, who had superior talent and rich resources, for being inferior to ordinary commoners? If that was the case, what right did these descendants of kings have to continue wasting so many of the human race's resources? They would naturally be dissatisfied with such a thing and would naturally dislike Xia Ping. Targeting Xia Ping was also a logical thing to do. Many people were convinced by this reason. It was impeccable. When the group of core students saw these replies, they were all angered to the point of going crazy. There were actually people here making things up, saying that they were jealous of Xia Ping. This was simply making things up out of nothing. They were all core students, and all of them were grandmaster prodigies. They were not inferior to many geniuses. Even though this kid was only at the 7th layer of the martial master realm and could defeat many elite students, he was not qualified to make them jealous. This was too ridiculous. I also suspect that there might be demon spies among these core students, hiding among us humans to sow discord and kill human geniuses. That's right. I suggest that we investigate the group of core students. There might be some fish that slipped through the net. The people from the Pingtian sect spread rumors that there might be spies from the demon race among the core students. Although they did not know whether this was true or not, it was not important at all. This was the so-called slandering. Regardless of whether it was true or not, it was enough as long as some people believed it. As for the verification, it had nothing to do with them. How dare this brat? Immediately, a core student was infuriated. He was simply unable to restrain his anger. Normally, people would not bring such matters up to the public. Basically, they would settle it privately. After all, it was not something to be proud of. If it was exposed, both parties were destined to become mortal enemies. There would be no room for reconciliation. However, this kid actually flew into a rage and revealed the entire matter to the public. It was obvious that he wanted to completely fall out with them and fight to the death. They had never seen such a daring fellow in their entire lives. Did this brat really think about how many lives he had to make an enemy out of core students like them? He even slandered us as human spies. That bastard must have a death wish. The group of core students had murderous looks on their faces. Xia Ping's intentions should be punished. If this news continued to spread, there might really be people who would believe that they were demon spies. At that time, even the Federation government might come to investigate. At that time, there would definitely be great trouble. Everyone, don't worry. He's just desperate. Hu Gang sneered. I reckon that after he advanced to the top 8, he finally realized that it was impossible for him to enter the top 4 with his current body condition. That's why he flew into a rage and revealed the entire matter to attract attention and obtain a chance of survival. He seemed to have seen through Xia Ping's motive for doing this. A cornered dog will do something desperate. So that's why. No wonder he did such an irrational thing. I reckon that he wants to use this matter to make a big deal out of it. Once everyone knows about it, it will be very beneficial for him. If he succeeds, then the genius competition will naturally give way to him. Even if he doesn't succeed, he can delay the top 8. This way, he will have a lot of time to recover from his injuries. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Despicable. I didn't think this kid had such a deep plan. He even thought of this. It's just a struggle before death. He thinks that creating something out of nothing can affect us. What a joke. We cannot let his scheme succeed. Or else all our efforts will be wasted. He wants to fight against us core students. He doesn't even know his own limits. Hua Gang and the other core students all laughed coldly. They thought that they had seen through Xiaoping's scheme and suddenly revealed this matter. They reckoned that Xiaoping wanted to buy time and recover from his injuries. Chapter 6:12. However, we can't let these guys continue to mess around. Qiao Jingbin said in a low voice, otherwise, if things get out of hand and rumors spread, it will definitely cause great trouble. Gossip is a fearful thing. His tone was very solemn. Gossip was a fearful thing. This was not a simple noun, it contained supreme power. As the saying goes, the mouth of the masses can melt gold. Many heroes were defeated in this way. Even if they didn't do such a thing, after being slandered by others, there would be countless people who would believe such a thing after a long time. It was easy to stain a piece of white paper, but it was very difficult to clean it. Of course, I won't let him off easy. Hua Gang gritted his teeth. We will immediately go online to clarify this matter and confront that kid. I don't believe that he can cover the sky with one hand on the internet alone. Therefore, these course students immediately posted on the internet, stating that this matter was not true at all. It was all Xiaoping's slander, speculation, and baseless facts. If Xiaoping continued to spread rumors and slander like this, they would take legal measures to take Xiaoping to court and claim damages for reputation, mental damage, and other expenses. At the same time, they asked the website to immediately delete these posts that affected their reputation. These rumors could not be allowed to spread, otherwise, the website would also be sued. Such a method was overbearing and powerful, fully demonstrating the influence of core students. After all, they were gurus, and the power and influence they had was not what elite students could imagine. Baseless facts? Then I'll show you the evidence. Xiaoping's method of resistance was also very fierce. He immediately played the recording of the conversation with Hua Gang in the cafeteria last time. Of course, this recording had also been tampered with by himself. All the unfavorable things about Xiaoping were edited out, and the unfavorable things about Hua Gang were played. Despicable. Hearing this recording, Hua Gang and the others' faces turned green. They never thought that Xiaoping would actually do such a thing. He actually recorded their voices during the discussion. Now, even if they wanted to refute, they could not do so. The evidence was conclusive. Too shameless, actually threatening an elite student to withdraw from the competition. Is this still a core student? He's simply an ancient bully. Who do those core students think they are? Local tyrants? With 3 heads and 6 arms, you can do whatever you want. Immediately investigate those core students and see if they have committed any crimes. If they can do such a thing, it's hard to imagine how lawless they are in private. Immediately, countless people were astonished. Once this recording was played, these core students had no way to deny it. They immediately revealed their true colors. Hua Gang, what's going on? How could you be so stupid as to allow him to record you, and even record the contents of your conversation, so that it could be used against you? Many core students looked at Hua Gang with solemn expressions. Hua Gang's face turned green. He was out of his wits. I don't know what's going on either. This was because he didn't have this kind of experience at all. After all, who would be recording a conversation at all times? Ordinary people didn't have this kind of idea at all, nor would they do it. But Xiaoping was different. He had experienced too much and naturally had many backup plans. Hua Gang, on the other hand, was inexperienced. He usually used his power to suppress others. Relying on his clan's identity and the title of a core student, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to deal with a person? How could he possibly think of any schemes? He would just crush them. In the end, he fell for it in an instant and left behind a weakness. Luckily, although there's a recording, it can't be considered as fatal evidence. As long as we don't give in and deny it, nothing big will happen. We must speak the same story. Otherwise, if the police get hold of any evidence, all of us will have to bear the consequences. Insist that this recording is fake. We definitely can't admit it, or else it'll be over. The core students weren't simple either. Although they were shocked by Xiaoping's methods, they quickly thought of a way to deal with it. They weren't at a loss. They immediately went online to make a statement, severely condemning Xiaoping's actions. They said that this recording was fake evidence and that everything was fabricated. This was malicious slander. They reserved the right to pursue Xiaoping for spreading rumors. They hoped that Xiaoping would repent and stop slandering others. This was a heinous act. These core students firmly refused to admit that this was real evidence. They felt that it was all fabricated by Xiaoping. You think this can solve the problem? Too naive. Xiaoping had already thought of a way to deal with this group of people. However, this group of core students had underestimated him too much if they thought this could solve the problem. He immediately informed the Pingtian sect to continue spreading rumors on the internet. However, this time, it wasn't a one-sided attack on the core students. Instead, one side was playing the good cop while the other side was playing the bad cop. Spreading rumors. This is definitely Xiaoping spreading rumors about the core students. What bullshit evidence! In my opinion, this recording was definitely made by some technical means. This bastard can't do anything but is very good at fabricating. Isn't that right? Who do you think Hua Gang is? He's a core student and a member of the King Hua family. It doesn't make sense for him to threaten a commoner. It's too absurd. He's lowering his own status. I reckon that Xiaoping is scamming the core students. He wants to create fake evidence and blackmail them. How sinister. This bastard has gone crazy thinking about money. He'll do anything for it. I hope everyone can open their eyes and see the true face of this bastard. But this is also very normal. These people are like this. They've never seen money before and have an extraordinary desire for it. This also reveals their extremely ugly faces. A core student can even say such absurd things to threaten a commoner. Why not say that the emperor wants to scam the beggar and extort all of the beggar's wealth? That's easier to understand. I've said it before. How can those bastards understand the noble qualities of nobles like us? They always measure our greatness with their own narrow hearts. It makes me sick to breathe the same air as these people. I think this world should be divided into two regions. One is the noble region, and the other is the slum region. In the future, those poor people and dogs can't enter the noble region. This way, we can reduce the occurrence of similar things. The people from the Pingtian sect posted on the internet with sinister intentions. They purposely stirred up conflict between the nobles and commoners. Originally, many commoners disliked the style of these large clans. They felt that they were too rude and unreasonable and looked down on others. They had long been stifled in their lives. Chapter 6:13. Untouchables. Who are the untouchables here? Tracing back 10,000 years, which one of our ancestors wasn't a peasant? Just because your father's generation made it big and became a phoenix, you're looking down on us ordinary people. Don't think that you're so great just because you're from a king's family. It's not uncommon for a king to die and his family to fall. Calling us untouchables, who do you think you are? Are you born nobler than us? Many people were driven mad by these words. They were usually oppressed by those nobles. Their money was taken, and their beautiful women were taken away. It was a bitter hatred, and the conflict was almost irreconcilable. Now, they were even posting on the internet to mock them, calling them untouchables. It was simply preposterous. Isn't that so? These bastards are too arrogant. They even say that they don't want to live under the same air as us. Just one whiff of them makes me feel nauseous. They even want to set up a noble district. In the future, the poor and dogs won't be able to enter. If this continues, what will happen to us ordinary people? Will we only be oppressed to death by them? We won't be able to make a comeback in this lifetime. These bastards are too arrogant. Investigate. Investigate these course students immediately. I want to see what they're capable of. What family do they come from? How can they be so unscrupulous to this extent? They actually want to set up a noble district and separate it from the slums. What are they trying to do? Do they want to return to a slave society? Do they want to reverse history and enslave ordinary people like us? Everyone, let's see the true colors of these course students. If they rise to high positions and become members of the Federation, we'll all be enslaved and become the lackeys of these nobles. This kind of thing can't be tolerated. The people from the Pingtian sect added fuel to the fire and kept posting, intensifying the conflict. Many people were filled with indignation. They felt that this group of course students had gone too far. Just how much did they want to look down on others? Xia Ping also replied to a post. When the nobles came to snatch women, I didn't stand up against them. I thought that they weren't my women anyway. When the nobles came to demolish houses, I didn't stand up against them. I thought that they weren't my houses anyway. When the nobles forcefully reduced salaries, built sweatshops, and squeezed the people dry, I didn't stand up to object. I thought that it wasn't me who had low salaries anyway. When the nobles wanted to build a slum and drive away all the poor people so that they could occupy the best resources, I didn't stand up to oppose it. I thought that I wasn't poor anyway. Later, when they came to steal my woman, demolish my house, fire me from my job, and chase me into the slums like a beggar, no one could stand up for me. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire cloud realm was stirred up. This was because these words were spoken in their hearts, completely igniting the flames in the depths of their hearts and quickly developing into a monstrous fire. Yes, you're absolutely right. These words make my whole body shiver, as if I've fallen into an ice cave. I used to be this kind of person, muddling along and thinking that everything in society has nothing to do with me. Yes, I was the same. However, when I heard that no one could stand up for me, I felt as if I could see my miserable future. I felt a chill in my heart. If no one speaks up, if no one cares about it and allows the injustice to spread, then when we encounter injustice in the future, who can speak up for us? At that time, there will indeed be no one who can stand up for us, because those who fought against injustice are all dead. Where will there be any righteous people left? Where will there be anyone who can speak up? After reading these words, I feel that I was simply an idiot before. I was too full of myself. If this continues, how can ordinary people like us have a future? I can't speak up when I'm oppressed, and I can only endure when I'm bullied. Now, it's just others, but when it's my turn, who will speak up for me? It's others now, but in the future, it'll probably be you. These words resonated with the people of the entire cloud realm. It was as if they had spoken out the thoughts in their hearts. It caused a huge wave, and these words quickly spread out. In this world, there were always more bystanders. They thought that the whole world seemed to have nothing to do with them. They felt that it didn't matter as long as it didn't happen to them. They didn't dare to speak up when they saw injustice, and they turned a blind eye when others bullied them. However, one day, those injustices would befall them. At that time, who would speak up for them? As expected of Big Brother. Feng Hatong and the others also saw these words, and all of them felt their blood boiling. It seemed that because of these words, they were also surging with blood that they hadn't felt for a long time. They felt that what they were doing was not dishonorable, but rather, they were upholding justice and fighting against injustice. Punish Huagang severely. Punish the core students severely. Thoroughly investigate the shady business, and demand justice. Who can punish the core students for their crimes? If this scum is not eliminated, the world will not be at peace. We must return justice to Xiaoping. One by one, the audience roared angrily. Many people immediately called the organizers of the genius battle to complain. In just 10 minutes, there were tens of thousands of calls, almost blowing up the organizers' complaint phone. At the same time, they also sent millions of complaints, accusing the core students of despicable means and demanding severe punishment. Otherwise, they would definitely not let it go. Damn, that bitch Xiaoping. When Huagang and the others saw this scene, their faces turned green. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. Originally, they thought that with their means, they could forcefully suppress this matter, turning a big matter into a small one, and a small matter into nothing. Who would have thought that the matter would be blown up by Xiaoping to such an extent? When he said that no one could stand up for him, it immediately caused countless people's emotions to surge, as if a single spark could start a prairie fire. Many people couldn't wait to beat up Huagang and the others to uphold justice. They completely didn't expect that in just a few hours, from the high and mighty core students, they would become the rats that everyone wanted to beat up, and they would be condemned by thousands of people. Immediately, they felt the pressure that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Even their phone numbers were leaked somewhere and put on the internet. There were actually many busybodies who personally called them to greet their ancestors. This matter made them feel like chicken feathers and duck blood. They were extremely vexed. And this matter was too big, too big. Even the organizers of the genius battle were completely alarmed. Many of the higher-ups were woken up overnight to deal with this matter. Because even the slightest carelessness could cause a great disaster. Chapter 614. Very quickly, the higher-ups of Sun Moon City, and even the city governor, Ho Hanyang, called to question what exactly Huagang and the rest had done, and why there was such a huge commotion on the internet that even Sun Moon City was affected. Huagang and the others, of course, could not admit to this matter. They firmly denied it, saying that this matter was purely caused by Xiaoping, and that the so-called evidence was all forged. They were all innocent, and had done nothing wrong. But the higher-ups of Sun Moon City, of course, would not believe such an excuse. They were very strict, and said that this matter had to be completely settled. Otherwise, if it affected the Genius Tournament, they would definitely punish Huagang and the others. They might even sue them in court, and the federal police would be sent to investigate. Hearing this, Huagang and the others' faces turned green. If the federal police really came over and thoroughly investigated everything, it would be a huge matter. Of course, they were not afraid of any trouble arising from Xiaoping's matter. Even if the evidence was conclusive, it was not a big deal. At most, it was just a threat. They could use a little of their family's influence to completely resolve this matter. At worst, they would only have to pay a small compensation. After all, with their status as core students, they would not be taken down over such a small matter. The problem was, if the federal police listed them as targets of investigation, then some of the things they had done before might be exposed. After all, to become core students, they had also used many dishonorable methods. These methods could not be exposed. Once they were exposed, it would cause great trouble, and even their reputation might be ruined. Even if they were very confident that they had done everything cleanly, it was better to be safe than sorry. If the police found out something, then it would be very troublesome. It was just like officials. Usually, they looked clean and honest, but once they were investigated, all kinds of corruption and bribery would be exposed. It was impossible to hide it. No, we definitely can't let the federal police come to investigate. This matter cannot be allowed. A core student's face was very ugly. He had done many dirty things behind the scenes, and these things were all against the federal law. Usually, with his status as a core student and the power of his family, others would turn a blind eye to what he had done. But if the police really came, it would definitely be exposed, and there was no way to hide it. At that time, even his family would not be able to protect him, and it would not be wrong for him to be shot dozens of times for his crimes. What's there to be afraid of? An upright person is not afraid of a crooked shadow. If they want to investigate, then let them. I don't believe that Brat has 3 heads and 6 arms and can do anything to us core students. Some people were not afraid of the shadow because they were clean and did not do anything illegal. Naturally, they were not afraid of the police investigating them. That's right, let's fight it out with him. That bastard wants to frame us. Does he have the ability to do so? There's nothing about us that we're afraid of others knowing, a core student shouted, looking like a hothead. Fight your sister. The faces of the group of core students were as black as charcoal. They wanted nothing more than to sew up that Brat's mouth and beat him to death. You Brat, aren't you afraid that your dirty deeds will be exposed? But they were different. I think we should talk to that kid and not make a big deal out of this. Indeed, there's no benefit to any of us if this matter blows up. Don't tell me that both sides are going to suffer. We are indeed in the wrong in this matter. Core students bullying elite students is a little like the strong bullying the weak. If this spreads out, our reputation won't be good. Some of the core students softened their tone, feeling that it wasn't a problem to talk to Xiaoping. In any case, if the matter blew up, they wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Wait, what do you mean by that? A core student with a crew cut was instantly dissatisfied. According to you guys, it seems like you want to give in to that brat. A dignified core student lowering his head to an elite student. Can this kind of thing be done? If we do it, do we still want our faces? You're still talking about bullying the weak? If this spreads out, your reputation won't be good. Why didn't you fucking say this before? Now that the matter has blown up, all of you are scared like quails. A group of core students gritted their teeth, wanting nothing more than to beat that crew cut bald. They were extremely angry. Previously, they thought that this matter could be easily resolved. Naturally, they wouldn't care about Xiaoping's reaction or things like reputation. But now, who would have thought that this Xiaoping was simply a hedgehog, so fierce that it was a complete mess? What he was best at was making small things bigger and big things out of control. This isn't giving in. It's just a strategic retreat. That's right. We're retracting our fists so that we can punch out with more power. If the matter blows up, what benefits will it bring to us? Everyone is an adult. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. If things really get out of control, it won't benefit anyone. A few core students shouted. Retreat your sister. Is this a strategic retreat? He's clearly running away. Moreover, he's being beaten to the point of running away like a rat. A core student immediately pointed out the absurdity of this matter. That's right. I don't agree with this. A core student lowering his head to an elite student. This is simply a miraculous story. If we dare to do such a thing, we will leave our names in history. It's clearly a bad name. Some core students firmly opposed the reconciliation. They wanted to fight to the end. Instantly, they were divided into 2 groups. One was the pro-peace group, and the other was the pro-war group. Immediately, the atmosphere of the battle turned foul. In reality, these people weren't good friends. They had only temporarily joined forces because of the bet with Choshu. Therefore, it was very easy for them to have internal strife. Enough! Chao Jingbin stood out. He glanced around and said in a deep voice, this matter can't continue to blow up. Even King Tears are paying attention to this. However, it's also very embarrassing to lower your head to an elite student. How about this? Let's vote by raising our hands. Do we fight or make peace? Everyone can decide. The minority follows the majority. Hearing this, the core students present all nodded. If they couldn't hold on, they could only raise their hands to vote. Very soon, they voted. In the end, 70% of them wanted to make peace, and only 30% wanted to fight to the end with Xiaoping and not give up until the very last moment. Alright, the result is already very obvious. A cold light flashed in Chao Jingbin's eyes. Since the majority of people agree to make peace, then we will make peace. This is the result of everyone's discussion. We must collectively obey it. The result is unquestionable. I hope those who want to fight won't drag us down. Otherwise, they will all become our enemies and we will kill them together. His words were filled with killing intent. Some core students who wanted to fight fell silent. Although they were unwilling, 70% of them had agreed. Even if they objected, it wouldn't have any effect. Alright, go and contact that brat. Chao Jingbin gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Obviously, he was unwilling. Chapter 6:15. Due soon, Xia Ping received a call from Hua Gang and the others. Oh, so it's Senior Hua. Is there something you need? If there's nothing, I'll hang up. After all, I'm very busy. I have to participate in the competition and rest. I'm not as free as you guys. Xia Ping shouted. Free my ass. Hearing Xia Ping's voice, many core students wanted to rush over and beat this kid up. He made it sound like they were unemployed and had nothing to do all day. If it wasn't to settle this matter, they wouldn't have called this kid even if they were beaten to death. But now, they couldn't say anything harsh. After all, they were here for peace talks. The reason we came to you is very simple. This matter can't continue to escalate. Let's settle it privately, Hua Gang said to Xia Ping. He went straight to the point and didn't beat around the bush. Privately? Xia Ping said with disdain, you guys hurt me so badly and tried to threaten me, making me lose the hope of winning the championship. You want to settle it privately with just a few words? Do you think it's that simple? He looked at Hua Gang and the others with disdain. He felt that this group of people was too naive. What do you want? What conditions do you have? Hua Gang said in a deep voice. Before making the call, these core students knew that this time they would have to bleed. They were already mentally prepared, so they didn't find Xia Ping's current attitude strange. If you want to settle it privately, just agree to a few of my conditions. Xia Ping didn't hesitate and directly put forward 3 conditions. The first was to compensate him with 100 billion federal coins as compensation for his mental damage, damage to his reputation, and all sorts of other weird expenses. The second condition was to delay the competition. It would be best if it was delayed for 10 days before continuing with the quarterfinals. This way, it would be fair and just for him to recover from his injuries. The third condition was for this group of core students to apologize in public, bow to him, and broadcast it live on television for the entire Sky Realm to see. Hearing these 3 conditions, even though Hua Gang and the others knew that Xia Ping would ask for an exorbitant price, they were still stunned by such conditions. Each of them was dumbfounded and dumbfounded. Compensate 100 billion federal coins? Why don't you just rob a bank? You're crazy for money. A core student scolded. He couldn't accept such ridiculous conditions. One had to know that 100 billion federal coins was not a small amount. Even if they were core students and grandmaster-level powerhouses, it would still take a long time for them to earn 100 billion federal coins. This was definitely a huge sum of money. It's impossible to delay the match. Some core students felt that the second condition was too ridiculous. After all, the entire process of the genius battle had already been planned. If the match was delayed, who knew how many problems would arise? If they wanted to do this, they would have to alert the higher-ups of the Federation, and they would have to pay a huge price. Of course, if they had the ability, the above 2 conditions were still trivial. The most unacceptable was the third condition. This condition was simply asking them to publicly execute them. They were the descendants of the king clans, the proud sons of the heavens, and the experts of the martial scholar realm. They actually had to publicly apologize to this brat on television. What kind of humiliation was this? They would rather betray the human clan than do such a thing in front of all the humans in the cloud realm. Once they did it, how would they have any face left? Their faces would be slapped swollen. Hua Gang's face was very gloomy. You still have other conditions. Your 3 conditions are too ridiculous and unreasonable. We can't agree to them. He felt that Xia Ping had no sincerity to negotiate at all. If you don't agree, then scram. Xia Ping was also not polite. It was not that he wanted to negotiate. It was just that this group of people came to him, so he reluctantly agreed to negotiate with them. Hua Gang and the others gritted their teeth. They could not wait to turn off their communicators and turn around to leave. Unfortunately, they could not. Don't be angry. Even if we can't make a deal, we can still negotiate. Another core student quickly blushed, hoping that both sides would calm down and not immediately collapse. Then let's talk. Xia Ping snorted, his attitude was very arrogant. After more than an hour of intense negotiation, both sides could not hold on. Xia Ping decided to give up the second and third conditions, but he did not give up on the first condition. As he gave up on the second and third conditions, the amount of compensation was correspondingly increased to 200 billion federal coins. However, how could Hua Gang and the others be willing to let Xia Ping drink their blood and cut their flesh? They also did not agree. They thought that 100 billion federal coins was already high enough. They could not afford any more. However, Xia Ping still did not relent. If they did not agree, then they would break up. Both sides decided to temporarily rest for half an hour, hang up, and discuss with each other before making a decision. This is too exaggerated. This bastard is definitely exaggerating. As soon as they hung up, a core student immediately cursed, he actually wants us to compensate 200 billion federal coins. Why doesn't this kid go rob a bank? Even if he wants to earn money, he can't do this. He's treating us like fat sheep. Yes, we definitely can't agree to this. He wants us to compensate 200 billion. He's crazy for money. He's using our flesh and blood to feed him. We can't agree. The group of core students' faces darkened. They all felt that this condition was too high. They would not agree at all. But that kid's attitude is very firm. He said that he gave up on 2 conditions. If we don't agree to the compensation, then we will break up. Hua Gang said in a low voice. He reminded everyone to pay attention to Xia Ping's attitude. The other party was very firm. Instantly, everyone present was silent. They were very conflicted. Due at this time, another call came. This was from Sun Moon City's city lord, Ho Hanyang. Immediately, these core students became nervous, because the other party was an important person. How is it? How did you guys settle the matter? Ho Hanyang's voice sounded. Hua Gang and the rest immediately told Ho Hanyang what had just happened. They even added oil and vinegar, describing this kid's greed and insatiable greed. He actually wanted them to compensate 200 billion federal coins. Agree to him. After hearing these words, Ho Hanyang only said this one sentence. What? Hua Gang and the rest's expressions changed greatly. This matter cannot continue to spread. Otherwise, it will be a great blow to Sun Moon City's reputation. Therefore, we have to calm it down as soon as possible. Ho Hanyang said in a low voice, if 200 billion can solve it, then solve it immediately. You have to look at the big picture, understand? His words were sincere and heartfelt. Look at the big picture. Hua Gang and the rest were all very sullen. Why did they have to look at the big picture? Why did that shameless bastard have to look at the big picture? Wasn't this clearly giving up on them and letting them bear all the losses? This was pushing them out to be scapegoats. Chapter 6:16. It's done. Not long after, Xia Ping heard from the phone that Hua Gang and the others had agreed to compensate. He smiled and clenched his fists, feeling incomparably excited. This time, he had obtained 200 billion federal coins. It was simply a huge profit. One had to know that he had risked his life to go to the Silver Dragon King's lair just to earn 570 billion federal coins. But now, he had asked this group of people to compensate 200 billion just by moving his lips. It was not an exaggeration to say that this was a huge profit. Even a money printing machine would not be able to make this much money. I'm rich this time. Xia Ping was very pleased. Previously, he had raised the 3 conditions just to bargain with the group of core students. In fact, his real goal was to ask for money. As for the second and third conditions, he did not care about them at all. After all, he was not injured at all and was very lively. Why would he be willing to postpone the competition? As for an apology, it was even more worthless. To put it in a more vulgar way, how much was an apology worth? Could it be worth 200 billion federal coins? He was still more concerned about practical benefits. After reaching an agreement, he could not continue to hype up this matter on the internet. He had to make a statement saying that he had reached an understanding with Hua Gang and the others. However, Xia Ping had already expected this. After all, Hua Gang and the others were core students and grandmasters with great power. It was already very good that they could make the other party suffer such a big loss. It was impossible to beat the other party until they had no chance to make a comeback. With such a compensation, he was already very satisfied and even exceeded his expectations. Soon, the person in charge of Sun Moon City made a statement on the internet saying that after the coordination and friendly negotiations, Xia Ping had reached an understanding with the core students. The quarterfinals would also be held as scheduled. There would be no changes. Hua Gang and the others also made a statement. It is our fault that this matter has caused such a big storm and troubled everyone. I hope that this matter will not cause the public to have any negative feelings about the Tournament of Geniuses. Everyone can hate us, but please don't hate this competition. We will also be more careful in the future and will not continue to make similar mistakes. I hope everyone can understand. Xia Ping also made a statement. After friendly negotiations, the other party has deeply understood their mistakes and has apologized to me. The competition will also be held as scheduled. I am deeply sorry for causing such a big trouble. Let this matter go with the wind. Don't let it continue to be the focus of attention. Everyone in the Sky Realm had seen these few statements. What's going on? You solved it in one night? Too efficient. This kind of statement is as good as not saying anything. How exactly is this going to solve the problem? That's right, don't be bureaucratic here. We, the public, have the right to know. We want to know exactly what happened. Is it because of the pressure from the higher-ups? Is it because of unprecedented pressure? That's why Xia Ping said those words. The water here is too deep. Many people burst into an uproar when they saw the announcement. They never expected that the matter would be resolved so quickly. Previously, Hua Gang and the other core students had fought to the death with Xia Ping, but who would have thought that they would be able to reconcile so quickly? Furthermore, Xia Ping had even asked everyone to continue supporting the tournament. No matter how they thought about it, they felt that there must be some unknown transaction involved. However, it was impossible for the public to know about this transaction, and those who knew would also pretend to be deaf and dumb. Therefore, no matter how angry the audience was, they would not know what had happened. However, with these statements and the people involved also hoping that the matter would be resolved, the discussions on the internet soon became much quieter, and the matter slowly calmed down. At this time, Xia Ping did not care about the storm in the outside world. He was now sitting upright in his room, cultivating in seclusion. In front of him was a large amount of water moon grass. The water moon grass was placed in front of him, emitting a silver brilliance under the moonlight. It was extremely beautiful, as if it was the essence of the moon. The air was filled with an enchanting fragrance. Ordinary martial artists would feel refreshed when they smelled this medicinal fragrance. Even the true energy in their bodies would be greatly increased. Boom! Immediately, balls of flames appeared on his body. Like a sun furnace, he quickly refined the water moon grass and integrated it into the depths of his limbs and bones. A cool aura flowed through his countless meridians like rivers. Finally, all the rivers flowed into the depths of his Dantian's sea of qi. At this moment, the essence of the moon and the essence of the sun merged into one, forming a realm where water and fire blended together. The feeling of the sun and the moon converging formed a resonance in Xia Ping's body. Bang! 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 Suddenly, a mysterious energy increased greatly, surging like a great river. One of his meridians was opened, and the true energy in his body increased rapidly. His bones, muscles, and meridians were all greatly tempered and constantly improved. Up until now, Xia Ping had opened a total of 8 meridians. Sure enough, fierce battles are the best way to cultivate. If I continue fighting like this, I will definitely be able to advance to the 8th level of the martial master realm soon. Xia Ping clenched his fists, revealing a trace of coldness. In the next 8 matches, there was not as much of a rush as before. Basically, there was 1 match a day. The 3rd day was the semi-finals. The 4th day was the finals. Therefore, he also had time to slowly cultivate, recover the rapidly consumed true energy, and improve his own cultivation. The next day, in the arena of the quarterfinals, Xia Ping appeared in the arena, calm and composed, exuding the aura of a grandmaster. Countless people's eyes were focused on Xia Ping. After all, such a big event had happened last night, and almost everyone knew about it. It could be said that his reputation was greater than any of the contestants. And the person fighting with him was called Lian Jingshan, a terrifying expert with the mermaid bloodline. He was a peerless genius, even compared to an expert like Lu Chao, he was not inferior at all. I didn't expect the competition to be held as scheduled. It seems that Xia Ping was really suppressed by the higher-ups. Isn't it? After being targeted like this, his body has also been seriously injured. He is no longer at his peak fighting strength. If he was fighting against ordinary contestants, this kid might still be able to win. But against a monster like Lian Jingshan, Xia Ping will definitely lose this competition. Indeed, there is no reason for him to win. His future lies in the next genius competition. It is already very impressive for a freshman to be able to make it to the quarterfinals. I reckon that kid will be the king of the next genius battle. What a pity. I wanted to see him go further, but I didn't expect him to fail now. It was as though all the water vapor within a radius of a few hundred meters was boiling, and under the effect of an unknown force, it instantly condensed into drops of water. He grabbed out with his hand and the entire arena shook. It was as if the entire world had stopped moving at this moment. Droplets of water lined up in the air and stopped. Kill. Profound meaning, unlimited bullets. In an instant, he waved his hand, and all the spiritual ether in his body boiled. Countless water droplets were like sniper bullets, bombarding Xia Ping crazily, tearing through the air at an incomparably fast speed. Faced with such bullet-like water droplets, if an ordinary martial artist were to encounter them, they would instantly be beaten into a beehive. So strong. As expected of the descendant of a king with the mermaid bloodline. His manipulation of water has reached the acme of perfection. It's as if he's controlling his own arm. Instantly, the audience shouted, feeling extremely shocked. Kuan Ping steps. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. He performed Kuan Ping steps, and a pair of transparent wings grew out from his back. His entire person was like a Kuan Ping, wandering on the arena at an insanely fast speed, leaving behind afterimages. These water droplets passed through, unable to hit Xia Ping at all, and bombarded the air. Bang 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 instantly, the ground was hit by these water droplets, and there was an explosive sound. Huge holes were formed, and gravel flew everywhere. Due to the speed, even the rocks had a burning smell. Xia Ping's figure appeared at a place 100 meters away from Lian Jingshan. Although he seemed to be fine on the surface, some observant people saw that there seemed to be a trace of blood at the corner of Xia Ping's mouth, and his face seemed to be much paler. It's over, it's over. Although this kid dodged Lian Jingshuan's attack, because of the intense manipulation of the qi in his body, his injuries have been aggravated. As expected, Xia Ping has no chance of winning in this competition. He's definitely going to lose. Many of the audience's eyes were very sharp. They couldn't help but sigh and shake their heads, feeling that it was a pity. Hua Gang and the others were extremely excited. Does the famous Xia Ping only know how to dodge? Why doesn't he dare to fight me head-on? Lian Jingshun laughed loudly. He also noticed Xia Ping's appearance, and instantly felt that his chances of winning had increased. He was unforgiving and attacked again and again, not giving Xia Ping a chance to breathe. Humph, I'm looking for flaws in the battle. Don't let me find them, or else you'll be defeated by me in one move, Xia Ping shouted, showing an unconvinced expression. Find flaws? You think you still have a chance? Profound meaning, water dragon bullet. Lian Jingshun grabbed the air, and his qi vibrated. Countless streams of water gathered together. Walala instantly, water dragons were formed. Their bodies were 10 meters long, and their scales were distinct. Under the illumination of the sun, they emitted a dazzling radiance. Boom! With a thought from Lian Jingshun, these water dragons roared and almost occupied the entire battle space. They pounced toward Xia Ping, and their huge bodies engulfed Xia Ping, leaving him almost no space to dodge. Bang bang bang! Xia Ping stood on the spot and turned into countless ferocious beasts, tigers, monkeys, and bears. His fists were like the wind, and they bombarded the water dragons violently. Xia Ping, you've been tricked. Do you think my water dragon bullet will attack you? It will explode, and you won't be able to dodge it, Lian Jingshun shouted. Bang! When these water dragons reached Xia Ping, their huge bodies exploded violently. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Water droplets condensed from the liquid on the water dragons' bodies, and like a machine gun, they shot out tens of thousands of bullets. Each bullet could penetrate titanium alloy, and it was extremely powerful. Under such attacks, even the best footwork would not be able to dodge. And Xia Ping was hit by these water droplets. Tens of thousands of water droplets bombarded his body like bullets from a sniper rifle. In a second, he suffered thousands of attacks. It seemed that at this moment, these water droplets wanted to beat his body into a beehive. Boom! Chapter 618. Win, we're about to win. Seeing Xia Ping like this, one of the core students shouted excitedly. As expected, this kid is no match for Lian Jingshun. If we had known, we wouldn't have needed to threaten that kid and ended up being covered in shit. No matter what, we're about to win the bet. That infinite dragon yang pill belongs to us. Hua Gang and the rest felt a little regretful. They felt that they were a little too cautious. They knew that victory was in their grasp, but they still went to do some extra things. In the end, they got themselves killed. If they had been honest and behaved like ordinary spectators, they could have reaped the benefits without having to worry about extra risks. However, it was too late to say anything now. Stormy Fist. Lian Jingshun roared. His attacks were continuous like a storm, not giving Xia Ping any chance to rest. He wanted to defeat Xia Ping in one blow. In mid-air, countless raindrops gathered together, condensing into a huge fist. It was like the fist of a giant, containing a terrifying power that could shake mountains. Bang bang bang. Under Lian Jingshuan's control, these water fists were like countless giants attacking. In a second, thousands of fists were launched, and countless fist prints appeared in the air. These fists also landed solidly on Xia Ping's body, exploding with earth-shattering sounds. The ground shook, and cracks appeared. Smoke and dust rose. Phew, it's finally over. After doing all this, Lian Jingshun took a deep breath. His forehead was covered in fine sweat. This move was very taxing on him, and it consumed a large amount of true yuan. However, in order to defeat Xia Ping quickly, it was all worth it. Soon, the smoke dissipated. Xia Ping was still standing on the spot. Blood seeped from the corner of his mouth, and his clothes were tattered like a beggar. However, he did not fall, and his body was like a javelin. Impossible! Lian Jingxuan's eyeballs popped out. He could not believe his eyes. Why can you still persist? Why haven't you fallen yet? That can't be. There's no way you could have withstood my attack. He knew how terrifying his attack was. Even a martial master of the ninth heaven would not be able to come out unscathed after receiving such an attack, let alone someone like Xia Ping who was seriously injured. The problem was that Xia Ping still hadn't fallen. He was as tenacious as a cockroach. Nothing is impossible. Your fist is no different from a massage to me. You'd better surrender obediently. Xia Ping shouted. What he said was the truth. Under his northern dark body protection technique, his whole body condensed into an air shield, which was almost flawless. Even if it was the attack of a beginner supreme master, he could barely resist it, let alone Lian Jingxuan's attack. Therefore, such an attack on Xia Ping was no different from a massage. Furthermore, because of these attacks, his blood vessels and cells were constantly being activated. The crisp mama also allowed him to quickly refine the water moon herb's medicinal power that he had absorbed last night, transforming it into waves of yin energy that nourished his body and healed his injuries. Keep bragging, keep bragging. Lian Jingxun didn't believe Xia Ping's nonsense at all, because he was trying to be brave. There was no one who was still safe and sound after being hit by such a terrifying attack. This kid must have been seriously injured and had no strength to fight back. That's why he was so stubborn, trying to scare himself and shake his invincible heart of martial arts. He would not be easily fooled. Lian Jingxun, come on, come on. Yes, kill him with all your strength. Don't listen to this kid's bragging. Just a little bit more to kill him and enter the top 4. Don't be careless. The course students shouted, cheering for Lian Jingxun. If he was really scared by this kid, I am afraid that this game will have a variable. They are really afraid that Lian Jingxun, who has no experience, will be scared by Xia Ping. After all, who doesn't know that Xia Ping is full of tricks and his whole body is full of pus? Go to hell, take my strongest move. I want to see if my attack is a massage. Lian Jingxun decided to use his strongest blow to decide the outcome. Profound meaning, meteorite descent. Boom! At this moment, a huge dark cloud condensed in the sky, covering the sky and the sun, covering the whole arena. It was dark, with lightning flashing and thunder roaring. Countless water droplets, under an invisible force, quickly condensed into a huge ball of water. There were thousands of them, gathering above the dark cloud in the sky. Kill! Lian Jingxun shouted. He pushed the mermaid blood in his body to the extreme, almost all the blood in his body boiled, gathering the water vapor in a radius of 1,000 meters. In order to use this move, he almost used up all the strength in his body. Bang bang bang! In an instant, the water ball in the sky fell, like a meteorite, tearing the air. Because of the speed, even the outer layer was burning. Thousands of water balls smashed down, like meteors, hitting the ground, causing great damage. Such a scene was simply the power to destroy the world. Abnormal! An audience shouted, extremely shocked. A martial master could actually use such power, it was simply incredible. Even an ordinary expert who just entered the Grandmaster realm would not be able to withstand it. Just one water ball could probably seriously injure an expert in the LV9 martial master realm. Now that thousands of water balls fell and hit a human, there was no way he could survive. Moreover, these water balls were densely packed, covering the whole arena, occupying all the space. No matter how good Xia Ping's dodging was, it was impossible for him to avoid them, he had to face them head-on. This is the horror of the mermaid blood, born with the ability to control water, like a body of water. I really can't imagine how terrifying it would be if Lien Jingshun fought on the sea. Needless to say, he must be the king of the sea. Invincible. Indeed, if the arena was on the sea, then there would be no suspense. Many of the audience sighed. They could clearly see the shocking degree of Lien Jingxuan's strength. Just this move alone had the potential to win the championship. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the meteorite-like water balls fell, smashing into Xia Ping's body. The impact of the water balls of a few tons was extremely terrifying. Suddenly, a huge deep pit appeared on the ground, like the surface of the moon. The entire arena seemed to be shaken by this force. With the power of a magnitude 7 or 8 earthquake, many audience members were sent flying. Fortunately, the security measures here were complete, otherwise, many people would have been injured. Fuck! After using this move, Lien Jingshun panted heavily. All the muscles in his body were twitching, and his energy was almost depleted. However, when he looked into the distance, he discovered that Xia Ping was still standing on the ground, alive and well. Chapter 619. The rest of the audience, including the course students, were also completely dumbfounded. Just a moment ago, they were all prepared to cheer. Some of them had even imagined themselves obtaining the infinite dragon sun elixir and becoming a king. They had even thought of the name of the city they were going to build in the future. But when they saw Xia Ping still standing on the ground, all their fantasies were shattered. This extremely hateful bastard was still not eliminated. The power of this move is indeed not bad. Even the power of Jia Jijia's 9-wave sword is comparable. As expected of a genius with the mermaid bloodline. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and was extremely emotional. Just a little bit more and I wouldn't have been able to withstand it. If I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold on. He revealed a very regretful expression, as if he would fall to the ground at any moment and be eliminated. Do it again. Hearing this, Lien Jingxuan's face turned green. In order to use that move, he had used up all his true yuan and even the power of his bloodline. It could be said that his body was like an empty shell with no power at all. He was even weaker than an ordinary person. So, how could he use that move just now? Wasn't that making things difficult for him? Sorry, it seems like you have no power left in your body. Let me use the power of my last punch to knock you down. This is also the respect I have for you. Xia Ping was full of righteousness. He clenched his fists and roared to the sky. What? Lien Jingshun was going crazy. He had no power left in his body. How could this seriously injured bastard still have the power for one last punch? This must be a joke. Why did he feel like he was the one who was seriously injured, while this kid was full of energy? Whoosh! Just at this moment, Xia Ping stomped on the ground, instantly creating a huge pit. Cracks spread out densely like a spider web. His feet produced a very strong propulsion force. A distance of more than 100 meters was crossed in the blink of an eye. A huge fist came from afar, exploding with the power of the tiger-leopard thunder roar. It was like the roar of a real dragon. Fuck, this was the power of the last punch. How could it be even more terrifying than when he was at his peak? This brat had left too much power behind. This was unreasonable. Sensing the might of this punch, Lien Jingshun was so frightened that his heart clenched. It seemed as though just the gust of wind alone could crush a hard rock into dust. He couldn't understand why this kid still had so much power left at this moment. But now, Lien Jingshun couldn't think about this at all, because Xia Ping's speed was too fast. Just as this thought emerged in his mind, a fist smashed over. Dong! The punch landed heavily on Lien Jingxuan's head. He didn't understand this and only wanted to end the battle quickly. In the end, he exhausted his energy and was defeated by Xia Ping. Hearing Hua Gang's analysis, the audience suddenly understood. No wonder Xia Ping won. It turned out that everything was a trap. The previous provocation was probably to anger Lien Jingshan and make him lose his rationality. He fell for it. A core student said bitterly, that kid knew that he wouldn't be able to attack Lien Jingshan with his heavily injured body. Hence, he could only lure Lien Jingshan to attack him and wait for Lien Jingshan to exhaust himself. If he had been more careful and cautious, maybe Lien Jingshan would have seen through his scheme. Unfortunately, he wasn't calm enough and fell for Xia Ping's trap. In the end, he was defeated. The audience was also angry but also impressed. At this time, facing such a dangerous situation, that kid was still able to use such a scheme to pass the competition. This was really amazing. Don't worry. In the end, it's just a scheme. Since he saw through it, it's not worth mentioning. Chao Jingbin gritted his teeth and said, the next round is the semi-finals. Everyone knows about his scheme. At that time, even if he wanted to use it, he wouldn't be able to. In the next round, he will lose without a doubt. His words were resolute. Chapter 620. On the internet, many people were having a heated discussion about this. I didn't expect Xia Ping to win. This kid is a monster. Someone sighed. Before, he didn't think Xia Ping could enter the top 4. He didn't expect to be shocked now. Tisk, someone sneered. So what if he can enter the top 4? He will definitely lose the next match. This kind of trick can only be used once. It won't work again. Don't think that others are fools. He didn't have a good impression of Xia Ping. Indeed. Those who can enter the top 4 are all monsters. They won't be easy to deal with. Even at his peak, it's extremely difficult to win in the top 4. Not to mention that this kid is seriously injured. It's even more hopeless. I wonder who will meet Xia Ping in the top 4. He's so lucky. He entered the finals lying down. Sigh, a person's luck is also a kind of strength. Many people agreed with this point of view. Xia Ping had almost no hope of winning. Basically, entering the top 4 was the limit of this kid's ability. But that kid still thinks he can become the champion this time. He really overestimates himself. Does he really think that the other elite students are weak and can be easily defeated by him? A core student posted an opinion online, mocking Xia Ping. That's right. It's time for that kid to fail. I hope this failure will make him realize reality and stop causing trouble here all day. Sometimes, geniuses are too arrogant and will fall midway. I remember there was a genius who was too arrogant and was crippled by a king. I hope that kid won't follow in his footsteps. Otherwise, his fate will be miserable. I heard that the monster race will also target these monsters and assassinate them secretly. I hope he will be more careful and not fail miserably. Didn't this kid just get assassinated once before? He actually didn't die. He's really lucky. Many core students cursed viciously. On the surface, they were warning Xia Ping to be careful, but in reality, they were cursing Xia Ping to be assassinated by the monster race. After all, they were screwed over by Xia Ping and lost 200 billion for no reason. This was a great humiliation. Now, they were just cursing him on the internet. This was already giving him a lot of face. What a bunch of stubborn fellows. Since you're being heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. Xia Ping also saw these messages on the forum. He touched his chin, and his eyes shone. Not only was he not angry, but he also felt that this was a great opportunity. Immediately, he came up with a series of plans. Then, he called Feng Hetang. Big brother, why are you looking for me? Feng Hetang shouted. Xia Ping said, some core students are attacking me online. Do this for me. He told Feng Hetang his plan. After hearing this, Feng Hetang was stunned. Big brother, are you really confident in doing this? If we fail, it will be a huge loss. He looked at Xia Ping hesitantly. It doesn't matter. Just do what I do. When have I ever done something I'm not sure of? Xia Ping said confidently. Feng Hetang nodded. Alright, since it's Big Brother's order, I'll naturally do it. With a smack, he immediately hung up the phone and posted on the internet. A bunch of trash. You said that my big brother will fail and stop at the top 4? What a joke. What if my big brother becomes the champion? Will you eat shit? Feng Hetang shouted and directly fired a bomb. What? When the group of core students saw such a post, their faces darkened. They could all recognize that the person who posted this was obviously the shameless Xia Ping's loyal lackey, Feng Hetang. Now, this kid actually dared to go online and shout at them. What's wrong? Are all of you so scared that you don't dare to say anything? Feng Hetang continued, all of you are bragging on the internet and pointing fingers here. It's not that I'm looking down on all of you, but all of you should ask yourselves, were any of you in the top 10 during the Battle of Geniuses? Trash who didn't even get into the top 10 actually dares to boast shamelessly to the geniuses in the top 4. Do you have the right to criticize your big brother who entered the top 4? I suggest that you immediately take a piss and look at yourself to see if you have the face to criticize him. Don't you have any sense of shame? You make it sound so awesome. If you're really that good, why don't you go up yourself? Damn fatty. The group of core students' faces turned green. To be honest, although they were core students, they were only elite students during the genius battle. Back then, it was already not bad if they could enter the top 100. After all, there were only 10 people in the top 10 of the genius battle. They were the elites among the elites. Even among the core students, they were existences as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Shame your ass. Could it be that we can't be compared to that kid? That's right, I don't know how to cook eggs. Could it be that I can criticize the taste of eggs? This fatty's mouth is so smelly. Is it from that bastard's bloodline? The group of core students gritted their teeth. They were all extremely angry and refuted with all their might. They couldn't stand being humiliated by Feng Hetang like this. Baseless criticism isn't criticism, it's spreading rumors and slandering. Feng Hetang sneered. Since you guys are so confident that my big brother will definitely lose, why don't we make a bet? His true intentions were revealed. Make a bet? Many of the core students were stunned. Yes, let's make a bet. I bet that my big brother will definitely be the champion this time. Feng Hetang revealed a rich and overbearing look. How much money do you guys bet? I will pay you back the same amount. What? Hearing this, everyone who saw this news was shocked. They didn't expect Feng Hetang to be so daring to directly place a bet with them. How much do you bet? How much will you pay? Is what you said true or false? The eyes of the group of core students lit up. They didn't expect such a sucker would suddenly appear. Previously, they were cheated by Xia Ping and suffered heavy losses. They didn't expect that when they wanted to doze off, someone would send a pillow to them. Without a doubt, this Feng Hetang was clearly a money boy. What do you mean by true or false? I, Feng Hetang, will use my teeth as gold. Feng Hetang shouted. Coming out to roam the pugilistic world, we rely on the word trustworthiness. Who doesn't know that I, Feng Hetang, am trustworthy? A mouthful of saliva is a nail. Fine. I'll bet with you 20 billion. I'll bet 20 billion with you. Che, what's 20 billion? If you want to bet, let's bet big. I'll bet 30 billion with you. A bunch of poor bastards. Don't tell others that you know me. You guys don't even know how to work hard to earn money. Serves you right to be poor for the rest of your lives. Damn fatty, I'll bet 50 billion with you. This is my entire wealth. Do you have the guts to accept? Chapter 621. In just a few minutes, the gambling amount was as high as 230 billion federal coins. Seeing this number, even Feng Hetong, who came from a big family, was shocked by this number. It was estimated that even if he sold the entire Feng family, he wouldn't get so much money. Once he lost the bet, it was estimated that he wouldn't be able to pay for it even if he went bankrupt. Thinking of this, Feng Hetong said with a little guilty conscience, "Everyone, don't be impulsive. As the saying goes, harmony makes money. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of it? A small bet is good for the mood, but a big bet is harmful to the body. It's not good for everyone to lose so much money. I think it's better for everyone to keep a low profile." He put forward his own suggestion. "Low your sister, that's not what you said just now. You're so arrogant, just like your boss. You even said that you can bet as much as you have. Now you're only betting more than 200 billion and you're afraid?" Seeing Feng Hetong's guilty and cowardly look, a course student laughed and tried to provoke him. Previously, he was still wondering if this damn fatty suddenly proposed this bet because there was some conspiracy, and if that bastard Xiaoping had set up some trap. Looking at it now, it was clear that this damned fatty was too young and impetuous. That was why he had said those words in a moment of impulse. Since this was the case, how could they let go of this opportunity to cheat Feng Hetong of a large sum of money? Afraid? In my life dictionary, there is no word afraid. Feng Hetong puffed out his chest. "But I'm worried about you guys. Losing so much money, what if you have problems living in the future? What if you plan to beg me? My family is not a charity hall." He expressed that he had good intentions and did not want to cheat everyone of a sum of money. He hoped that everyone would not be impulsive. "Beg? I want your ass, I am a dignified grandmaster powerhouse, how can I beg? Damn fatty, I won't blame you if you haven't seen rich people and haven't seen the world, but tens of billions is just a drizzle for us grandmasters. Do you know what a drizzle is? If you don't understand, go back and look it up in the dictionary. That's right, and we like to give money to others to spend. What's wrong, are you still not convinced? Don't talk nonsense, do you want to bet or not? If you don't have the guts, then forget it. Anyway, you're the same as your boss." Many course students sneered and tried to provoke him. "What?" Hearing this, Feng Hetong immediately flew into a rage. "You can insult me, and even my family, but you can't insult my big brother's character. Fine, don't you want to gamble? Don't you want to give me money? Then let's gamble. Bet as much as you have. I'm just afraid that you won't have enough money to pay for it and go bankrupt." He looked exasperated. He had been fooled. Many of the course students were instantly overjoyed. How could they not see that Feng Hetong had already lost his rationality? If they didn't seize this opportunity to ruthlessly rip off this fat sheep, when would they be able to do so? Immediately, they urged Feng Hetong to make a bet. This way, neither side could go back on their word. They even quickly set up a public account and let the bank act as a third-party custodian. If they won, the bank would automatically transfer the money to the other party. It was fair and just, and no one could tamper with it. What? Someone is the banker, saying that Xiaoping will win the championship, and how much he will lose. Is that kid crazy? Do you have the money to pay? It doesn't matter if he's crazy or not. Anyway, this is a great opportunity to make money. How can there be such a good opportunity to make money? We're rich this time. Bet with that damn fatty immediately. It's not that I'm bragging, but this time, I can bet until he goes bankrupt. Many people also heard this news, and their eyes immediately lit up. They felt that this was a great opportunity to make a fortune, and they definitely wouldn't miss it. Otherwise, if they missed this opportunity, there wouldn't be another one. Some course students took out their savings for many years. Some borrowed money from their classmates, friends, and relatives to raise funds. Some course students were even crazier. In order to return their capital, they even took out a loan of tens of billions from the bank. Their purpose was to bet with Feng Hetong. In just an hour, the gambling amount had actually reached 770 billion federal coins. This kind of gambling amount was so high that even the king-level figures were a little shocked. Many people's eyes were green with envy. Enough, let's stop here. After seeing this amount, Feng Hatang immediately stopped more people from betting, indicating that it was time to stop. If it was any more, Xia Ping wouldn't be able to afford it. After all, Xia Ping only had 770 billion federal coins on him now, and for the bet to succeed, both sides had to have enough money. Otherwise, if it wasn't enough, the bet wouldn't succeed. Damn fatty, didn't you say to bet as much as you have? Are you afraid with just this little money? Some course students were anxious because they wanted to increase the bet, but now they were stopped by Feng Hatang. Some course students were even a little regretful. They felt that they seemed to have gambled too little just now. If they were more courageous, they might be able to make more money. However, they were still a little worried. If something happened, their money would go down the drain. Shut up. Feng Hatang said disdainfully, Feng Hatang, am betting with you not to see what you want, but to see what I have. Anyway, I only have this much money. If you guys want to bet, don't bet. Hearing this, everyone was helpless. If this damn fatty didn't have enough money, then even if they continued to bet, it would be useless.
Soon, they signed the bet and were protected by the law. This shocking news quickly spread throughout the cloud realm and caused a huge commotion. Oh my god, an earth-shattering bet worth 770 billion federal coins. This fatty is completely crazy. He actually bet on Xia Ping to win the championship. Isn't this clearly giving money to others? I'm more curious, where did this fatty get so much money from? 770 billion, do you know what kind of concept that is? Even if it's a king family, if they want to come up with such a sum of money, they would have to bleed a lot. It is said that this fatty is a direct descendant of Yanhuang planet's Feng family. Yanhuang planet's Feng family? Damn, I thought it was some family. It is said that the strongest person in this family is only a grandmaster, and they don't even have a king. Isn't this just a country bumpkin? Nowadays, country bumpkins are so rich. How can they casually come up with more than 700 billion? Don't look down on country bumpkins. They are far away from the emperor, and corruption and bribery are very serious. They can easily earn money faster than a money printing machine. They are much better than us working hard. Corruption and bribery? No wonder that kid is so fat. He looks like he's full of fat. He's born to be a corrupt official. When he goes out, people think he's a leader. Everyone was shocked by this sky-high bet. Such a number was simply unimaginable. It was estimated that the annual financial budget of an ordinary city was estimated to be this amount.
Chapter 622. Big Brother. At this time, Feng Hatang, who had been awe-inspiring outside, was almost scared to tears. He video-called Xia Ping with a sad face. Can we win this bet? If we lose, we have to pay 770 billion. Even if I sell myself, I can't afford it. Even though he was from a rich family, he was frightened by such a number. His legs were trembling because the pressure of such a number was too great. Don't worry, I will win this competition. They are giving me money. Xia Ping clenched his fists, feeling very comfortable. If he won this bet, his net worth would soar to 1540 billion federal coins. Such a number was enough to shake a country's economy. If he had more, he might be able to buy the crystallization of human technology, super battleships. It was said that the weapons of this super battleship could even kill kings. Once he had such high-tech weapons, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the sky realm. As for the Silver Dragon King, the Wolf King, and the Black Scorpion King, he could ignore them. It's best if we can win. Feng Hatang was still trembling and his face was pale. Just now, when my father found out about this, he immediately called me and scolded me. He said that I was a prodigal son and wanted to squander the entire Feng family's fortune. If I didn't persuade him in every possible way, saying that someone was backing this up, he wouldn't have let it go. There was no other way. After all, a number like 770 billion federal coins was too shocking. Even the Feng family was scared to death. Their legs were weak. This was a number they could never imagine in their lives. This was like a huge mountain that crushed them. If they lost the competition and sold the entire Feng family, they would not be able to pay it off even if they became slaves for hundreds of years. No wonder Feng Hetang's father was scared and called to question him. If I lose, it's my loss. You don't have to worry about it. I can still afford it. Xia Ping smiled slightly. He did not care about this money at all. As expected of Big Brother. Hearing this, Feng Hetang finally felt relieved. He also saw the number of Xia Ping's savings. Even if he lost all this money, he would just have to start from scratch. When Xia Ping first came to the Cloud Realm, he had almost nothing, so it was not a big deal for him to return to the past. Thinking of this, he could not help but sigh. He remembered that when he first entered the school, Xia Ping was just a country bumpkin who had just come out of planet Yanhuan. He did not expect that he would grow into a big shot who could shake the sky realm. It didn't take long for Xia Ping and Feng Hetang to end their conversation. Sitting down cross-legged, Xia Ping began to rotate his energy arts as he absorbed more of the water moon grass and converted it into true energy. At this time, after the battle with Lian Jingshun, he had already opened 10 meridians in his body. Vital energy flowed through his meridians like water. He could feel the endless power surging out of his body, and it was still increasing bit by bit. If I can clear 2 more meridians, I will be able to reach the peak of LV7 Martial Master. I might even be able to reach LV8 Martial Master. Xia Ping clenched his fists as his eyes lit up. Once he advanced to the 8th heaven of Martial Master, his strength would definitely increase greatly. He would be much stronger than he was now, and he would definitely be able to suppress everyone and sweep away all obstacles. It was precisely because of this that he dared to make such a bet, believing that he would definitely become the champion. I have to focus on cultivation and quickly break through to the 8th heaven of Martial Master. Xia Ping closed his eyes and cycled the qigong in his body. He silently sensed his rapidly increasing strength. The night passed, and the next morning, the top 4 matches finally began. The top 4 this time were Xia Ping, Xia Anshou, who was bathed in dragon blood, Bai Qingqing, who had the 7-orifice exquisite body, and Feng Chodao, who had the bloodline of the immortal phoenix. Everyone who entered the top 4 was ridiculously strong. Xia Ping would fight Xia Anshou, and Bai Qingqing would fight Feng Chodao. If one of these 2 groups won, then they would fight for the championship. At this moment, Xia Ping and Xia Anshou were facing each other on the arena. You are Xia Ping. Xia Anshou looked at Xia Ping. You are only at the 7th heaven of Martial Master, yet you are already in the top 4. Your qigong is truly amazing. I believe no one in the same generation can compare to you. But why are you so stupid to go against the core students? He looked Xia Ping up and down, seemingly very curious. Go against them? I didn't go against them. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. They came to oppress me and force me to withdraw. They wanted to destroy my opportunity, so I had no choice but to resist. Although the core students are powerful, they can't force me to lower my head. Are they the only ones who can oppress me and I can't resist? How can there be such logic in the world? Xia Anshou shook his head and said, You are really stupid. A man should know when to yield. Do you think being stubborn means you have a backbone? With your personality, it is easy for you to die young. Do you know that? He didn't agree with Xia Ping's words. There are those who are easy to break, but there are those who are tempered into steel. The reason they break is because they are not strong enough. Xia Ping clenched his fists. You have said so much. Have you also become the dog of those course students and want to deal with me? Xia Ansho said calmly, you have a sharp tongue. They don't have the qualifications to make me their dog. However, I would like to see if this piece of steel of yours can be broken or not. Don't think that I'm on par with your previous opponents. The strength of Xia Ansho, isn't something those people can imagine. Even if you want to play tricks, I will not give you the chance to use them. Come and see what is called overwhelming strength. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, he slapped the air with his palm. King-level peerless rank martial skill, Dragon Bind Hand. In an instant, Xia Ansho used a king-level peerless rank martial skill. This was one of the strongest martial skills in the world. With one slap, the air shook and true energy condensed. A terrifying aura immediately surged from his body. A giant golden dragon appeared and roared. It was earth-shattering and seemed to contain supreme dragon might, shaking the entire arena. This giant golden dragon was extremely terrifying. The scales on its body were clear and shiny. The dragon might it emitted made the spectators in the distance feel oppressed. It was as if the true energy in their bodies had stagnated. Impossible. This move can even affect a grandmaster. Instantly, countless course students and some grandmaster powerhouses in the spectator stands were incomparably shocked. At this moment, they actually felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy. It was as if under such pressure, they could only use 70% to 80% of their strength. Xia Ansho roared angrily. All the blood in his body seemed to be boiling. The power of the dragon blood in the depths of his body circulated, and a mysterious energy surged into his limbs and bones. At this moment, black scales seemed to appear on his chest, and 2 dragon horns seemed to appear on his head. All the muscles in his body swelled up, and his body grew to 2-3 meters tall, like a dragon man. The entire air seemed to be boiling at this moment. Waves of dragon might spread out, condensing into a corporeal form, flattening the entire ground. Some rocks were even crushed into dust. Whoosh! In an instant, Xia Ansho disappeared from where he was. His speed broke through the sound barrier, and he appeared in front of Xia Ping in an instant. He punched out with his dragon fist, almost creating a vacuum. The power of this punch was extremely terrifying. It was estimated that even a small mountain would be smashed into pieces. Good timing. A cold light flashed in Xia Ping's eyes. He infused the spiritual ether in his body into his hands, crazily operating the pure yang immortal art. At this moment, his palms actually turned dark red, exuding madness, destruction, and other auras. At this moment, both of his hands seemed to have turned into dark red flames, as if they had already turned into flames and elements. The temperature rose sharply, pushing the power of the clapless palm to its limit. Suddenly, the dark red flames kept changing, turning into a bird's claw. This was the Hell Golden Crow Claw. This claw blasted out, as if it had merged with the void. The air was pushed away in all directions, and there were dense ancient inscriptions engraved on it, containing a mysterious power. Bang! The dragon fist and the bird claw collided, and suddenly, like a comet hitting the earth, the force shot out in all directions. The air condensed into a corporeal form, and the force that erupted was pushed out in all directions, forming wind blades that cut the ground. But this was just the beginning. In a few seconds, the 2 figures on the arena flashed, and they constantly collided, like 2 groups of energy colliding, erupting with a shocking shock. This was like a fight between 2 young divine beasts. Impossible! Xia Ansho's eyes were filled with shock. Didn't you say that you were injured? How can you still have this kind of power? He didn't believe that a patient could be so fierce to this extent. One had to know that he was a 9th-tier martial master, and a monster who had bathed in dragon blood. An ordinary 9th-tier martial master could be crippled with 1 punch, and killed with 2 punches. But now, facing this Xia Ping, he was actually evenly matched, and not at a disadvantage at all. Since when did a patient become so fierce? This was too exaggerated. If this kid was in perfect condition, how terrifying would he be? This is the final radiance of the setting sun. If I hold on for a while longer, I think I'll be dead. Don't worry, Xia Ping shouted, indicating that his current state couldn't be sustained. The reason why he was like this was purely the final radiance of the setting sun, a ray of inspiration before he died. Radiance my ass. Xia Ansho wanted to curse out loud. Even the final radiance of the setting sun had a limit. There was definitely no one like Xia Ping, who was more ferocious than a divine beast. How could there be such a patient in the world? Even if he was lying, there should be a limit. Did he really think that his IQ was so low that he would believe a few words casually? Fuck, how can this kid Xia Ping be so fierce? Didn't they say that he was already injured? How can he be so fierce now? A core student's eyes turned green. He couldn't believe it at all. The power that erupted from Xia Ping's punches and kicks was not something that could be compared to before. It was as if before, he was just showing off his strength, and now he was really going all out. He felt that if he stood in the arena with the same cultivation level, he would probably be killed by this bastard with one punch. This isn't an attack that an injured person can use. We've been tricked. This time, we've been tricked. This bastard isn't injured at all. He's very lively. A core student shouted. It can't be, that kid isn't injured at all. In other words, he was pretending before, pretending to be crazy to trick us? Liar, this bastard is a liar. Even the punctuation of his words can't be trusted. Could it be that the previous bet was also deliberately made by him sending his lackeys? His goal is to trick us into entering the gambling house and give him money. Shameless, this is clearly a fraud, a fraud. Chapter 624. What? That kid isn't injured? No wonder he was so ferocious and couldn't be beaten to death. How shameless. He's acting all high and mighty, but he's cheating us to death. If he wasn't injured, wouldn't that kid have a chance of becoming the champion? This is bad, this is bad. This time, I bet my entire fortune that he would lose. If he didn't lose, wouldn't I be dead for sure? Despicable Xia Ping, he's trying to cheat us of our hard-earned money. Isn't anyone going to control him? Countless spectators were cursing. Some of those who had participated in the gamble had their faces turn green. It was as though someone was squeezing their hearts, causing them to pant. They couldn't imagine how terrifying this kid's strength would be if he wasn't injured. However, they also didn't know why such a thing would happen. This kid had clearly suffered so many blows that even a peak martial master would be heavily injured. How could this kid be fine? At this moment, on the arena, so what if you aren't injured? You are still no match for me, Xia Ansho. In the face of absolute strength, everything else is fake. Xia Ansho roared. He circulated his qigong and struck out with a palm. King Peerless grade martial technique, heaven flipping palm. This palm was extremely terrifying. It was as though the heavens and earth were turning upside down. A giant dragon's hand descended from the sky, crushing down. It was as though even a mountain would collapse at this moment. This palm even locked onto Xia Ping's aura, making it impossible for him to dodge. This was a move that was close to perfection. It had a trace of a grandmaster's aura. In the past, he had relied on this move to defeat countless strong enemies. Even demon race experts couldn't block this terrifying palm and were instantly smashed into meat paste. When cultivated to the extreme, a single palm could annihilate an entire city. Heaven flipping palm. What's the use of that? Watch as I refine your entire body. Sun furnace. Xia Ping circulated the pure yang immortal art. At this moment, it was as though every single cell in his body had turned into flames. In the depths of his body, a divine bird was crying out, causing the void to tremble. A unique rhythm spread out, causing the souls of the surrounding martial artists to tremble. Rumble huge flames gushed out from his 108,000 pores, covering the sky and earth, condensing into a solid substance. In an instant, a dark red sun seemed to condense, enveloping a radius of 100 meters. It almost looked like an enormous furnace, filled with raging flames that could only be seen when one's energy arts were cultivated to the pinnacle. Anything under this furnace would be incinerated into ashes. What kind of technique is this? How could it be so terrifying? Many of the conclave students couldn't help but jump to their feet as they stared at Xiaoping's consummate energy art. This solar furnace stood in the air. There were many ancient inscriptions engraved on it. It seemed to contain a mysterious and ancient energy, as well as an aura of primordial chaos. It was as if this furnace had undergone a baptism of time. It had been born the moment the primordial chaos had opened up, and they couldn't help but prostrate themselves in worship. Even his soul seemed to be suppressed, and he didn't dare to look at it directly. Ah! Instantly, Xia Ansho let out a mournful scream. The instant the solar furnace was formed, his heaven-flipping palms slammed down, but it actually melted in an instant. It was as though even his true energy was being incinerated into lava. Wisps of flames even began to spread and crackle. These flames followed the eruption of true essence, seeping into his body through every pore, entering his meridians. The power of these flames was extremely terrifying, akin to the Samadhi true fire, capable of incinerating everything in the world. Instantly, his entire body was filled with pain. It was as though at this moment, even his meridians were being incinerated. It can't be, is Xia Ansho going to lose? No, that's impossible. How can he lose so quickly? Many of the conclave students clenched their fists and gritted their teeth, biting their lips so hard that they almost bled. They were extremely unwilling, and didn't want to see Xiaoping win at all. If this brat really won the championship, it was unknown how disastrous their losses would be. Some of them might even go bankrupt. This was an unbearable loss. Xiaoping, you want me, Xia Ansho, to lose? You must be dreaming. You're the one who forced me to do this. You actually forced me to reveal my greatest trump card. You will definitely pay the price. Xia Ansho roared. All of a sudden, a pair of boxing gloves appeared on his hands. These gloves were a faint golden color, and there were densely packed runes engraved on them, containing a mysterious energy within. Many sharp horns could be seen on the surface of the gloves, incomparably sharp and indestructible. There were even traces of dark red blood stains on them. It was unknown how many lives had been slain by these gloves. The instant the gloves were worn, Xia Ansho's body was instantly enveloped by a layer of golden light. A mysterious energy permeated his internal organs, circulating through his meridians. And these flames that were trying to destroy his body were instantly extinguished by this mysterious energy. The strange true energy was also rapidly expelled, and at the same time, the injuries on his body healed. With his body as the center, a terrifying vacuum field also appeared. In an instant, the surrounding flames were expelled, and no power was able to approach his body. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes and immediately retreated several hundred meters. He stared at the gloves on Xia Ansho's hands and felt an indescribable aura. This aura. Could it be a treasured weapon? He stared at the gloves, which seemed to have the same aura as the treasured weapon on his body. Without a doubt, these gloves were not ordinary treasures, and they possessed extraordinary power. Flood dragon gloves, my god, how could this brat Xia Ansho have flood dragon gloves? Some core students immediately jumped in fright, staring at Xia Ansho's fists, unwilling to look away. Flood dragon gloves? Huagang also stared at the gauntlet, an indescribable look in his eyes. It said that a flood dragon king was killed, and the materials from its body, as well as millennium cold steel, 9 fire copper, and other materials were used to create this precious weapon. It contains the might of a flood dragon. If worn on the hand, it can at least double the user's strength. It can even form a force field to defend against the enemy's attacks. It is a powerful treasure with both offensive and defensive capabilities. His thoughts surged, as if he could not believe that Xia Ansho had such a treasure on him. We won for sure this time. He even took out a treasure, how could he not win? Damn it, even I don't have a treasure on me, how could this Xia Ansho have one? Did he really rob the true dragon's nest? God knows how lucky he is. I'm so envious. Chapter 625. In the arena. Xia Ping. Xia Ansho stared at Xia Ping. You actually forced me to use my trump card. You are quite impressive. Someone like you is not qualified for me to use. But your actions have completely infuriated me. This time, I will definitely let you taste unforgettable pain and use your blood to wash away the shame on me. His eyes were filled with boundless anger. He was an expert at the peak of the 9th level of the martial master realm and a monster who had bathed in dragon blood. His strength was much stronger than others. It should have been easy for him to deal with a junior of the 7th level of the martial master realm. But now, he was actually forced to use his trump card. This was simply a great humiliation to him, and he felt as if he had lost all his face. The more this was so, the more he hated Xia Ping. He had to completely defeat Xia Ping in order to save his face. Boom! Xia Ansho circulated the true essence in his body and infused it into the glove. Instantly, the inscriptions on the glove flashed and emitted a terrifying aura of a dragon. There seemed to be an earth-shattering roar in the air, causing the blood of the surrounding audience to boil. This was a pressure that came from the soul. Even the energy barrier could not block it. King-level superior grade martial technique, Dragon Binding Hand. At this moment, Xia Ansho's entire body flickered and seemed to be wrapped in a ball of true essence. It was incomparably violent. The air behind him twisted and actually transformed into a giant dragon that soared in the sky. Whoosh! 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 In an instant, countless fist prints appeared in the air. Each punch was condensed into a solid form, like the attack of a dragon. It had the terrifying power to move mountains and fill up the seas. It contained the power to destroy the world. Any martial artist who faced this attack would feel as if they were a small boat in the middle of a storm, as if they could capsize at any moment, and the boat would be destroyed along with the lives on board. Too strong. The surrounding audience could not help but jump up. All the cells in their body seemed to be trembling. They could not believe that this was the power of a move that a martial master could use. After using the treasured weapon, the dragon glove, it seemed that Xia Ansho's strength had increased by several times. The power of the dragon binding hand was also incomparable to before. It was as if at this moment, he had already become a grandmaster. Each of his moves had the natural aura of a grandmaster. An attack through the air could collapse a mountain. Treasured weapon. Don't think you're the only one who has it. Today, I'll show you what unparalleled power is. Killing you will be as easy as killing a chicken. With a boom, a spear appeared in Xia Ping's hand. It was the Hell Spear. As soon as the Hell Spear appeared, a terrifying energy field sprang up around him, filled with the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. A blood-colored aura spread out, making it seem as if the gates of hell were about to open. The entire arena shook for a moment, and the shockwaves swept through the area within a radius of several kilometers. Xia Ansho's fist force was instantly shattered into pieces, and he was even pushed back dozens of meters. His feet slid along the ground, leaving behind a deep crack. Impossible! How could you possess a prized artifact? Xia Ansho's expression was sinister. He was completely stupefied. He thought that after bathing in dragon blood, even going to an ancient ruin to obtain a fortuitous encounter and a precious artifact, he would be invincible. He thought that he was a natural protagonist, a child of destiny, invincible. But who would have thought that this brat would also have a precious artifact? Moreover, it was emitting an evil aura of hell, and its grade seemed to be even higher than his flood dragon gloves. He couldn't accept this result at all. It was too absurd. This brat also has a precious artifact. This joke is too big. A core student was dumbfounded. It was one thing for Xia Ansho to have a precious artifact, but why did this brat have one as well? No wonder this brat was so confident in winning. I didn't think he would have such a trump card. This is unreasonable. What's wrong with the juniors nowadays? They're all so rich, and they even have precious artifacts. How unreasonable. Even us core students don't have such treasures. It's over, it's over. This brat also has a precious artifact. Who can stop him from winning? Many core students were gloomy. They were completely stunned by the series of events. Everything that had happened in just a short 10 minutes was too much for them to handle. They couldn't react at all. Hell Spear. That's the legendary cursed Hell Spear. This brat actually got it. In the VIP seats, a king-level cultivator was also shocked. He could see the precious artifact on Xia Ping's body. Impossible. This Hell Spear is cursed. Any martial artist who gets it will go crazy, and turn into a homicidal maniac. In the end, they will be killed by others without exception. But no matter how I look at it, this brat doesn't look like he's being controlled by the Hell Spear. His spirit is clear, and his mind is clear. The aura on his body has fused with the precious artifact, and there's a trace of the Lord of Hell's aura. It's like he's completely subdued the Hell Spear. It can't be. This is something that even king-level cultivators might not be able to do. How did this brat subdue the Hell Spear? If he can do something like this, it'll be like adding wings to a tiger. We humans will have another great general. Youngsters these days are incredible. Originally, many king-level cultivators were high and mighty, looking down on the competition. They treated it as a supplement to their daily cultivation and didn't really care about it. But now, Xia Ping took out the Hell Spear and even subdued the precious artifact, making it his. This really shocked many king-level cultivators. They felt that it was unimaginable. Let me show you what true power is and what despair is. Xia Ping gripped the Hell Spear tightly. His quintessential energy vibrated, and the inscriptions on it vibrated, emitting a majestic aura of hell. In an instant, he stabbed out with the spear. Xiao! At this moment, Xia Ping seemed to have become the god of hell. The spear pierced out, and a black cold light flashed. It was incomparably sharp and indestructible. This cold light left a trajectory in the air like a meteor, containing the majestic aura of hell. It was like the god of hell had descended to harvest souls. It could be said that this spear not only had shocking power, but it even activated the aura of the Hell Spear, shaking even the soul. This was not a power that a peerless king-level martial skill could withstand. It was not an attack from the human world, but an attack from hell. Damn it, what is this? Xia Ansho was indescribably shocked. He could feel Xia Ping's spear piercing towards him, and it seemed to contain an unstoppable force. This sharp force was invincible, and its winding trajectory seemed to ignore space itself. In an instant, it arrived beside him. He stretched out his hand, wanting to block, and even activated the Flood Dragon Glove. Chapter 626. Dong! The spear landed solidly on Xia Ansho's body. Like a flood breaking through a dam, it instantly shattered the defensive energy shield on his body and pierced through it. Ah! At the same time, Xia Ansho let out a cry of agony, as if his body had been pierced by the spear. His soul felt like it was being torn apart by countless demons. He flew backward and slid along the ground for a few hundred meters, creating a ravine and scattering rocks everywhere. He eventually slammed into the wall of the ring, creating a huge pit. Puff! Xia Ansho could not help but vomit a mouthful of blood, staining the ground. His expression was hideous, as if he had gone crazy. He still could not believe that he had lost. He had lost this time, and to a 7th-layer martial master at that. Meanwhile, Xia Ping stood quietly on the ground, holding the hell spear and looking down from above. He quietly comprehended the power of the spear. After reaching the 7th-layer martial master, he seemed to be able to control the spear more and more perfectly. When he inserted his chi into the spear, it was as if his soul had merged with the weapon, achieving the state of being one with the weapon. He even felt that the hell spear seemed to contain a peerless martial art from hell. If he continued to master it, he might be able to completely master the martial art. Xia Ping. He let out a roar, feeling extremely humiliated. He was a 9th-layer martial master, yet he was defeated by a junior with a single spear, and his body was pierced through like a chicken. It was a great humiliation. Hatred, anger, humiliation, unwillingness, and many other emotions surged up in his heart, making him unable to accept it. "I'll fight you to the death." Xia Ansho let out a roar like an injured beast. Even though he was injured, his chi had not been depleted yet. He was still a 9th-layer martial master, posing a great threat. "Fight my ass, do you have a death wish?" Xia Ping raised his hand and thrust the spear forward, leaving a strange trail in the air. The tip of the spear instantly reached Xia Ansho's throat, emitting a shocking murderous intent. It felt like the spear would pierce through his throat if he moved slightly, and his head would be chopped off. This. All of a sudden, Xia Ansho's anger disappeared, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on his head. What replaced it was fear and the fear of death. There was no longer any reluctance. If not for the protection of the energy, he would have been killed by the spear. "What this? Do you admit defeat or not? If you don't, I'll stab you to death with my spear." Xia Ping looked down at Xia Ansho, a terrifying killing intent radiating from his body. The hell spear flickered with a terrifying cold light, like a venomous snake. It seemed that with a single thought, the cold light could turn his head into minced meat. I admit defeat." Xia Ansho seemed to have used up all his strength after saying those words. He collapsed to the ground like a punctured balloon. He knew that if he said this, he would lose the championship. But even if he didn't want to say it, he had no choice. He would still be eliminated by Xia Ping, and he might even be seriously injured. Whoosh! In the next second, Xia Ansho was enveloped by a white light and teleported away to be healed. At that moment, the system announced that Xia Ping had won the semi-finals. Oh my god, this kid won the semi-finals too. Unbelievable. Who would have thought that Xia Ping could get this far? Even the championship seems to be within his reach. He's literally the blackest horse. It's over. I bet that this kid would lose. Now he's in the finals and can compete for the championship. Doesn't that mean that all my money has gone down the drain? Shameless. Didn't he say that he was having a sudden recovery before death? How did he end up like this? Even Xia Ansho has been defeated. Is there any justice in this world? Is there any humanity left? Bullshit. He's so cruel. Who would believe his words? Many of the spectators were cursing, especially those who had bet on Xia Ping to lose the match. They were so angry that their faces turned green. When they saw Xia Ansho surrender, their hearts were filled with despair, as if they had been slapped in the face. Previously, they had said that Xia Ping would stop at the semi-finals and that it was impossible for him to win. But the reality was like this. They could not accept it. Boom! At that moment, Xia Ping walked out of the arena. Whoosh! 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 Many reporters immediately went forward and grabbed microphones. They immediately blocked Xia Ping's way. The cameras in the distance were all shooting crazily. Because the Genius Contest was a competition that everyone paid attention to, especially the semi-finals. Everyone who could enter the semi-finals was bound to be a king in the future, unless they died halfway. One could imagine how much these people were sought after by the media. If he did not interview them now, it would be difficult to do so in the future. Mr. Xia, how do you feel now that you've defeated Xia Ansho and entered the finals? A reporter took the microphone and asked immediately. Xia Ping stood there and nodded. Of course, I'm in a good mood. After all, Xia Ansho is a strong opponent. I'm very excited to be able to defeat such an opponent. I think this trip was worth it. But there were rumors that you were seriously injured and it was almost impossible for you to defeat Xia Ansho. What do you think about this? A reporter asked curiously. Xia Ping admitted directly, that's right. I was indeed seriously injured. The reason why I could defeat Xia Ansho was purely because of my strong will and the final radiance of the setting sun. I guess defeating Xia Ansho is my limit. This is the last battle. I don't have any more. He sighed to the sky. He thought that he had exhausted all his strength in this match. This was basically his last battle. Keep bragging. Many viewers watching the live broadcast wanted to spit on this shameless person's face. They had never seen a bastard who lied with his eyes wide open. During the top 100 competition, this guy had already said that he was about to die. He could only win because of the final radiance of the setting sun. Every match was the last and he had exhausted almost all his strength. The problem was that every match was a complete mess. His opponents all died, but he was completely fine. Inadvertently, this guy had advanced to the finals and had a chance of winning. Now, he actually had the audacity to say such words, saying that he didn't have much strength left. Just ask yourself, does your conscience feel at ease after saying such words? Do you still have any shame? Do you really think that we are idiots? Would they believe a few random words? Chapter 627. The reporters were also speechless as they looked at this guy who was full of nonsense. However, they couldn't expose Xia Ping in front of everyone. At this moment, the other side of the semi-finals also came to an end. Bai Qingqing and Feng Qiudao fought fiercely, using all their strength. Even though Bai Qingqing used all her strength, she couldn't defeat Feng Qiudao. In the end, she was knocked out by Feng Qiudao with one punch and seriously injured. In other words, the finalists had been decided. The champion would be between Feng Qiudao and Xia Ping. A reporter immediately told Xia Ping, Mr. Xia, the finalists have been decided. It's Mr. Feng Qiudao. What do you think now? Xia Ping revealed a look as if the sky had collapsed. It's over, it's over. This competition is probably over. It's over. Does that mean Mr. Xia doesn't have much confidence in winning the finals? A reporter asked. Many of the reporters' mouths twitched. This was the first time they had seen a finalist so lacking in confidence. Usually, they would say that they would win for sure to show their invincible confidence. However, this kid directly said that he would definitely lose. I have no confidence at all. Xia Ping was very honest. After all, the finalists are all seniors who have cultivated for many more years than me. Their inner force cultivation, martial techniques, and willpower are all at their peak. Wouldn't it be easy for them to deal with a seriously injured person like me? I suggest that Feng Qiudao suppress his cultivation to the 7th layer of the martial master realm, forbid him from using any treasured artifacts, and give me a handicap. Perhaps that would be fair. Fair my ass. The mouths of the audience twitched. This kid really had a wishful thinking. If Feng Qiudao really did that, he would be courting death. He would be handing over the championship to someone else. They already knew that this kid was thick-skinned, but they didn't expect him to be this shameless. He even asked Feng Qiudao to give him a handicap. Why didn't he just surrender and let him win? Many of the reporters were speechless. This guy was really full of lies. Not a single word he said was true. Okay, the contestants are going to rest later. Don't disturb them. The interview is over. At this moment, the staff came up and immediately drove the reporters away because the interview was over. Xia Ping also left through the contestants' passage. At this moment, in the audience area where the core students were. At this time, the entire seating area was gloomy, and the atmosphere was very depressing. It was as if their wives had run away with another man. Not to mention how gloomy the atmosphere was, no one wanted to say another word. We can't, everyone. One of the core students couldn't stand the atmosphere and immediately shouted, if that kid really becomes the champion, then we'll suffer heavy losses. Do you know what heavy losses means? In order to bet on that kid losing the competition, I borrowed 30 billion from the bank. 30 billion. If he really loses, I'll go bankrupt and have to work for someone else for the rest of my life. He gritted his teeth. When he thought of such a future, he felt extremely gloomy. As a Zhongshe realm expert, he had a bright future ahead of him. Yet, he was forced to work for someone else just because he was unable to repay the loan. How humiliating was that? The other core students were the same. They had more or less borrowed a lot of money. If they lost the bet, they would probably fall into poverty for the next few years. Especially in the bet with Choshu, they lost their treasures. They didn't know how many times they had risked their lives to get them. This was simply unbearable. At the thought of these losses, they even had the heart to kill Xia Ping. It's not our fault. That kid is too despicable. He shouldn't be a martial artist. He should be an actor, the kind that can win awards. He's despicable to the extreme. In order to cheat us of our money, he actually put on such a show. I'm irreconcilable with him. If he really dares to win the competition, I'll hang him in front of his house the next day. Damn it. That kid is cruel and unscrupulous. He won't have any shame. Maybe he'll even laugh. Many core students were extremely angry and their faces were red. He may not lose the competition. Isn't there still the last competition? And he's also seriously injured. A core student tried to liven up the atmosphere and forced a smile. Injured my ass. You're still fooled by him now. Don't be silly. Look at his vigorous appearance. He's even more vigorous than us healthy people. Another core student cursed. Whoever dares to say that he's injured, I'll kill him immediately. A core student clenched his teeth and said, why don't we send an assassin to kill him? That way, everything will be over. He was extremely fierce and murderous. He wanted to eliminate the root of the problem and kill Xia Ping. Then, the championship would naturally belong to Feng Qiudao. Kill my ass. Don't think of such ridiculous things here. Someone looked at him as if he was looking at an idiot. This is Sun Moon City. Everywhere is under surveillance. There are no blind spots at all. Even a king tier will die if he wants to barge in. Especially the contestants. They're the focus of attention. They're being monitored at all times. I guarantee you that the assassin will be captured before he even reaches the resting room. He will even follow the clues to the melon, and once he catches us, he will immediately get rid of us. The group of core students was instantly in despair. Assassination didn't work. Then, they were completely helpless. There's no other way. We can only rely on Feng Qiudao. He's also a hidden monster. It won't be easy to defeat him. Huagang clenched his teeth and placed his hopes on Feng Qiudao. The other core students couldn't do anything either. They could only pray in secret. Some even tried to curse Xia Ping, hoping that he would have diarrhea tomorrow. If he couldn't get up, then they would definitely win. In another part of the spectator seats. Look at Huagang and his group. Their faces are all green. When did the core students get forced to such an extent? They must be in despair. I didn't expect this to be done by an elite student. Seeing the expressions of Hua Gang and the others, Su Mei immediately burst into laughter. It was as if she had seen the most interesting scene in the world. She laughed like a devil. "You're the one who brought this upon yourself." Qiushu didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy for the other party. She said this indifferently. "Qiushu, how did you determine that the kid will be the champion? Are you that confident in that little boyfriend of yours?" Su Mei was extremely curious. Before the competition started, she couldn't see that Xia Ping had any hope of becoming the champion. But now, it was the finals. As long as he could win the competition tomorrow, he would be the champion. "He's not my little boyfriend." Qiushu looked at the woman who was running her mouth in annoyance and said, "Moreover, he might not be able to become the champion. After all, Feng Qiudao is not a simple person. It can be said that he is the strongest monster in this tournament." Chapter 628. At night, Xia Ping stayed in the lounge. He operated his qigong and slowly rotated his ethereal force. Bang! Suddenly, his body trembled. His true essence was like a flood that broke through a dam. It broke through 2 of his meridians, and his strength increased by another level. The battle with Xia Anshou had greatly stimulated Xia Ping's potential. The energy in his body was madly refined. So far, he had opened 12 meridians and reached the peak of the 7th level of the Martial Master Realm. He was only 1 step away from the 8th level of the Martial Master Realm. "But I've used too much water moon grass. I've actually used up 60% of it. The remaining 40% will be used up." Xia Ping clenched his fists and sighed. Because he had obtained a large amount of water moon grass in the cave of the Silver Serpent King, he thought it would be enough to support him until the Grandmaster realm. But now, he had used up 60%. He estimated that the remaining water moon grass could only help him reach the 9th level of the Martial Master realm. But there was nothing he could do. Every time he cultivated and evolved, his strength would be stronger than ordinary warriors. His potential was also extremely terrifying. Naturally, his consumption was more than 10 times that of other warriors. If he was an ordinary warrior, he would not be able to support such consumption. Fortunately, Xia Ping had made a lot of money and did not need to worry about his cultivation resources for the time being. "I must become the champion tomorrow." Xia Ping clenched his fists. Cultivation was like this. 1 step ahead, 1 step at a time. If he fell behind, others would surpass him. This was a world of intense competition. Once he became the champion, not only would he receive a lot of rewards, but he would also be valued by the major martial arts organizations. That way, he would be able to obtain more benefits. It did not matter if he aroused the resentment of others. When he reached the Grandmaster realm or even the King realm, the so-called hatred and jealousy would be nothing more than a joke. Therefore, he was determined to become the champion this time. No one could stop him. After a night, it was finally the finals of the genius competition. Almost everyone in the Cloud realm was watching this competition. They wanted to know who would become the champion. Especially the core students, they had not slept the whole night. They had a pair of panda eyes because the outcome of this competition was too important. They could not bear to lose. Some core students even secretly cursed Xia Ping, hoping that he would have diarrhea today and could not participate in the competition. Unfortunately, Xia Ping completely ignored these curses and was still as lively as ever. He came out of the lounge and came to the corridor. Immediately, a group of core students, led by Hua Gang, Chao Jingbin, and the others, walked over. "Xia Ping, no matter what happens in the finals, you must lose. You must not win. Otherwise, in the future, you will be my enemy, the enemy of us core students." Hua Gang's voice came over, but this was a telepathic message. Even a recording device couldn't record it. He had probably suffered a great loss at Xia Ping's hands, so he was very cautious this time. You have to understand that we core students have huge clans standing behind us. This kind of power is not something a commoner like you can compare to. If we attack you with all our strength, as well as your friends and family, you have to think about the consequences. He wasn't bluffing. Every core student had a colossal figure standing behind them, not to mention that they were all grandmasters themselves, wielding frightening power. Even the descendants of invincible kings were not willing to provoke them. Even at this moment, you still want to bluff in front of me? Xia Ping was unmoved. He transmitted the same telepathic message over, allowing all the core students to hear it clearly. You guys are nothing but a bunch of trash, yet you want to rely on the powers behind you to bully me? Do you guys know how much you are worth? Wait until I become a king, you guys will be nothing more than chickens and dogs. I can kill you all with a single breath. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and surrender. In the future, you will be my slaves and listen to my orders. That way, there will still be soup for you guys to drink. If not, you guys can only eat shit in the future. Do you understand? Facing such a threat, he was unmoved. Behind him stood a colossal figure like the giant corporation. How could these core students threaten him? If he could become the champion of the genius competition, his status in the giant corporation would definitely rise greatly. Compared to before, he would probably be on the same level as the successor of a king clan. Maybe these core students could play some tricks, but once he became a king, no, even if he reached the Grandmaster realm, these core students were nothing but farts. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. Wanting to play psychological warfare with him was simply too naive. Bastard! Hearing this, Huagang and the rest were infuriated. They wanted nothing more than to kill this arrogant brat. They had never seen such an elite student before. He actually didn't put them in his eyes at all. If this wasn't Sun Moon City, they would definitely make a move and tear this brat into pieces. What are you looking at? Have you never seen a handsome guy before? Don't think that you are amazing just because you have a bunch of scoundrels. Do you think a bunch of trash can scare people? If you have nothing to do, then scram. I still have to participate in the competition. If you dare to make a fuss here, I will definitely report this to the Sun Moon City Lord and let him punish you heavily. Xia Ping wanted to complain. Bastard! Huagang and the rest's eyes turned green. Who was he calling scoundrels? Did he even know how to speak? They simply wanted to tape this brat's mouth so that he couldn't speak anymore. But hearing Xia Ping's threat, they couldn't help but seriously consider it. If Xia Ping really complained, they might really be expelled by the Sun Moon City Lord. After all, such a huge incident had happened before. If they caused any more trouble, the Sun Moon City Lord probably wouldn't let them off. Xia Ping, let's see how long you can be arrogant for. Be careful when you walk at night in the future. Don't get hit by a car, Huagang and the rest cursed fiercely. What are you shouting for? Do you believe that I won't kill you when I become a grandmaster? Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and cast a sidelong glance. You! Huagang and the rest were furious, but there was nothing they could do. They could only glare at Xia Ping fiercely and leave with their tails between their legs. They knew that the final negotiation had failed. There was no room for negotiation. Seeing that Huagang and the rest had left, Xia Ping didn't think much of it. He directly went through the contestants' passage and arrived at the arena. At this moment, Feng Chodao was already waiting in the arena. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm and composed. At this moment, all the spectator seats were filled. It was broadcasted from all directions. Almost all the humans in the cloud realm could receive this competition. Tens of thousands of people were watching, and the ratings were off the charts. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.